hello and welcome back to the SimGrid for a special event. A brand new racetrack, hot off the press and delivered to us in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it's time to take one of them for a bit of fun. That circuit, of course, being Snetterton, a British racing circuit located in Norfolk, England. It went under extensive rebuilding works in 2010, creating an inner loop, reprofiling the final sector to create more overtaking spots and extending the lap by a mile. Primarily known for its racing in the British Touring Car Championship, it's very much open to a variety of racing vehicles, having been raced in motorbikes, supercars, and of course, some GTs. A circuit featuring its fair share of tricky corners, it does require bravery to move up the order, so track position could be king, especially with the weather incoming. It's time for the SimGrid 90 minutes of Snetterton. For those of you that don't know my voice, I am Lewis McGlade. Alongside me, guiding us through with the expert analysis, is the voice you should all recognise. It's David Christie.
Wow, you built that up far too much there, I'm afraid. But ladies and gentlemen, Lewis McGlade, we've done it. We've got him here on the SimGrid. Lewis, it's fantastic to have you along here, man. And yeah, loving that super slick intro. Really, absolutely nailed the current history of the circuit. And my goodness me, am I excited! I've been waiting so long for this British GT pack, and it's fantastic that one of our first events is here at Snetterton. So many overtaking opportunities, as you mentioned, in that final sector of the circuit, and really the entry list for tonight is like an absolute who's who here at the SimGrid.
Yeah, some serious quality. I think we're going to see a nice close race. 90 minutes, 2 forced pit stops across the run of it, and plenty of overtaking opportunities. But how they differ between the dry and between the wet, well, we're expecting to see some rain this evening. However, you know, the shots we're seeing there is dry. The shots we were seeing in practice as well look fairly dry, and there's in game. I'm not so sure. I'm almost hoping for a bit of rain, but with a circuit that's so new that a lot of the drivers don't really know too well, we don't need it. It could be crazy regardless.
Yeah, and what we're seeing as well is in the free practice session, we're seeing the drivers who have put in already that sort of maybe 12-24 hours of practice. It literally has only been 24 hours since the track was released. So those drivers already going to the top of the timing screens. And, you know, I think that, as you said, rain is going to be a very unwelcome addition tonight, Lewis.
Indeed, we're about to head into qualifying and see our way as to who's going to be on pole position. I think a 20-minute session ahead of us in this qualifying session, and plenty of time then for drivers to find themselves some clean air. But it's a pretty big grid, isn't it? It's 39 cars we've got there, so nearly 40, and pushing what will be quite a tricky qualifying session to muster around. I know it's a 1 minute 40 odd lap, but it's still going to be busy out there.
It certainly is, and the thing with that is that while you've got those cars on track, qualifying is going to be crazy because you're going to have to try and get yourself some space on the track. Plenty space to do that. Bentley Straight between Riches and Montreal, and the start-finish straight as well. But you know, without further ado, I think, Lewis, would you say we have a little look at the specially prepared hot lap for us?
Welcome aboard the Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT3 with TF Sports Nicky team as we ride on board on a hot lap of the 2.969 mile circuit here at Snetterton 300, accelerating up to just over 240 kph as we go into the braking zone for Riches, down into third at 175 on the speedometer. Now making our way through to the right-hand hairpin here at Montreal, all the way down to first gear, just under 60 kilometers an hour. He takes the tight apex and allows the car to run to the left-hand side before the run towards Palmer, which is a left-hander. He lifts off the throttle, then starts reapplying the power on a very tightly taken apex. As again, Nicky team runs a little bit wide, but allows the car to carry momentum. This time down to Agostini, braking from fifth gear down into first. Around about 70 kilometers an hour on the apex of Agostini before the next left at Hamilton, which he will be taking at a considerably higher speed at about third gear, 156 kilometers an hour on the apex before the right-hander at Oggies that nearly comes back onto itself, back down to first gear once again, allows the car to drift wide and then carry the momentum whilst he puts on the brakes going through to Williams. Tight apex once again for Nicky Team, but then it's down the incredibly long back straight, the Bentley straight on the run towards Brundle and Nelson. And towards the braking zone for Brundle. He's going to take this just before the penultimate marker board, down from 5th at 250 down to 3rd gear. Now through Nelson's in 1st gear before going through into the right-hander at Bombhole, and he's taken that at around about 160 kilometers an hour, allows the car to drift wide up into 4th gear, now pushing well over 180 or so kilometers an hour down into Corham before the left-hander, which is effectively a 90 left at Murray's, and now Nicky Team will power across the line at a rather considerable rate of knots and probably will hit around about 5th gear and over 230 kilometers an hour.
Already into the qualifying session, and it's looking pretty busy out there on circuit. We saw the build-up through that lap, that hot lap that we just saw. Whilst that was going on, they were on their out laps. It was so crazy busy towards the end of the lap. Thankfully, no one's been involved in an incident, but everyone in what seems to be a bit of clean air at the moment. Everyone's spaced out just a touch.
That's what it looks like at the moment. I mean, I'm pretty sure that'll all change over the next 16 minutes, but I'm just looking at the names that we can see here on the screen, and it's a lot of the names that we see week in, week out here at the SimGrid. You know, you've got the number 47 McLaren of Niels van de Kekelt there, man here, Igor Ogorodnikov that we were just on board with, the number 41 there. You've got Owen Wenlock, you've got Sheldon Muscat, who is lovingly referring to himself tonight as the grass cutter, so we'll refer to Sheldon Muscat as Flymo for the rest of the evening. The brothers there, Killian Ryan Meenan and Cormac Ryan Meenan, up earlier there. I think that's the 13 and the 21, if I'm not mistaken, and sorry, the 23 there. And Sheldon Muscat we can see here. Now Sheldon is a bit of a dark horse. We won't see him an awful lot because he does tend to keep himself in the mid-pack tonight, Lewis, but he does have a lot of pace. We've seen him pull some wild overtakes in the past, so he's definitely going to be one of my gentlemen to watch tonight.
The thing is, though, with a circuit like this is where you take the form book and you throw it in the bin. I had a good time commentating on a race around the Snetterton circuit a little while ago, a few weeks ago, elsewhere in sim racing, and the standard form book over the season that we'd had, this was round 5 of the season, over the first 4 rounds was basically thrown in the bin with the exception of a few cars, because Snetterton's such an oddity in motorsport. Outside of Great Britain, you don't really see many international series come here. There's the odd 1 or 2 that's like high profile, British GT and British touring cars that come here that are a high profile series. Outside of that, it's not one that would be well known by the majority of people in motorsport and sim racing, and that is what we see. There's a fair few drivers on this grid that we'll be keeping our eye on. Was told prior to it that Petrochenko, who in the sim grid is undefeated at the moment, looks maybe not so fast in practice at the moment, has set a time 2.6 seconds off of the pole, but did slow down coming through Corham to get himself a bit of clean air on the lap. So we'll keep an eye on Petrochenko, the Lamborghini, and where they can go. Just a bit of a note, Ross McGregor has just gone up onto pole position. It was only separated by 0.06 of a second, but Roscoe doing he loves being called Roscoe, doing the GT and slapping it on provisional pole position at the moment.
Yeah, Ross McGregor, a very well-known driver here at the SimGrid, usually teams up with John Munro, another fellow Scot, and yeah, blistering pace that the two of them have. I'm personally not used to seeing him up at the top of the timing screens, because he normally keeps himself around about P7 to P10. But yeah, that's a great early warning shot from him there. Just also noticed in the background, some of our eagle-eyed viewers might have spotted a red Aston going straight into the barriers at qualifying there. That was Killian Ryan Meenan, the number 23, and he's straight back out trying to get some fresh air and rubber into that tyre. So we see the 518 having a bit of a moment as well. That is Chris Hartfeld that decides to go across the vast scenery that we have here in Norfolk. And that's the one thing about this lap, isn't it, Lewis? I mean, it feels like a very, very long lap, but compared to some of the other GT circuits that we visit, 1:45 isn't that long a lap time.
No, I think it's just it just keeps going. The circuit's fairly flat. There's not much undulation, so it's almost like it doesn't feel like you're going anywhere. In a sense, you're sort of staying on the same. But I know undulation and elevation gain and stuff doesn't really make much of a difference. That was Babin off the road on the exit of Nelson, just pulling it to the outside and escaping. Going to get out some more laps just as this session unfolds. It's just one that you just don't feel you're going anywhere, and so it does feel like an extra long lap, but it's also fairly relentless. There's a lot of places on this track that have difficult corners. Turn 1, Richards, it's very, very tricky. Brundle into Nelson towards the end of the lap is massively difficult, and the final corner, of course, Coram into Murray's is also another very, very difficult corner. I think that's just, you just don't get much time to breathe. Petrochenko currently on screen getting blocked a little bit there. And that's, he's just going to back out of that one. That was Brow ahead of him in the Bentley. Petrochenko currently a little bit further down than we would expect, but still keeping quite close to this Bentley. Only 4/10 off of pole position at the moment.
With it being a 90-minute race as well, you really need to be in that top 10 to make things work, or to put yourself in the best possible position, because that's what these drivers are doing. It's a case of two hats, given that we've got two mandatory pit stops that can be taken at any time for these drivers. Niels van de Kekelt here that we're watching just now in the Sidemax Motorworks, a couple of tenths up at the moment. He's going to need to get a move on, because 1.7 seconds behind pole at the moment. That is not the sort of pace we're used to seeing from him, but we'll see what he does across the line as he moves up into 23rd position. Only 23rd, and he's only 6 tenths off of the pole lap there.
30 cars are within a second. 30. That is absolutely ridiculous. We were saying earlier on in this broadcast when we first opened it that it's a really, really strong grid, and that is showing a 1 minute 45 lap. Fair enough, it's sort of medium length for a GT car, as you were saying, but for all of those drivers to be within a second is absolutely crazy. The top 3 are within just 1/10 of a second, as Igor Ogrodnikov is currently on the pole position ahead of Grunewald, so he's actually set in a decent lap time there to go to a 45.612. Still plenty of time. Whoa, Will Dendy into the barrier riches. That was not a pretty crash. That's one way to ruin your no claims bonus, I guess. Yeah. Will Dendy there, but no harm, no foul. He'll get back out for qualifying. Make no mistake, those guys outside of the 1 second mark, I've got no doubt, will pull themselves into that. I mean, it would be crazy if we could have the entire field under a second, but what tends to happen here is, with about 6 or 7 minutes to go, some of the top drivers, they'll pull the pin, and they will unleash that lap that they're holding back on. I think we very possibly could see either a low 145 or into the high 144s here. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's a bit of uncharted territory for us, really. Obviously, being a brand new circuit in ACC, and so they're really pioneers out there on circuit. So we'll find out as the session unfolds. There are some drivers on this grid separated by absolutely nothing. I did see 13th and 14th. That's Props and Petrochenko currently separated by absolutely nothing. They are both on exactly the same time, 0.426 off of the pole.
As we jump back to Niels van de Kekelt there, a very attractive look at that McLaren sideways into a wall. I'm sure we'll hopefully not see too much more of that tonight. He'll certainly be hoping we don't see too much more of that tonight. But Yuri Petrochenko for the AJA Sim Racing Team, number 26. I've got to say, that Lamborghini looks absolutely fabulous around here. I'm sure the folk of Norfolk are not too used to having Lambos rolling around the countryside here, but the British GT pack is such a welcome addition, and from the community the feedback seems to be very, very good in the first 24 hours. Certainly I've had a little shot in the Porsche, trying to get a little bit of practice in for the Super Saturday event that we're doing next weekend, and absolutely in love with that track, and cannot wait to try out Snetterton. I am terrible at this circuit. I struggle with the last section, with Bombhole round to Coram and then down into Murray's. I nearly always mess up Coram, and it's straight head on into the wall at Murray's.
I think someone else struggling with the circuit a little bit was Petrochenko, who we were just looking at there, expecting him to be a little bit higher than he currently is, only 16th place. Struggled a little bit through Hamilton there, as Jason Lures stays 7th and no improvement. Here's Fuzi going into Oggies and towards Williams, I believe, certainly is, onto the back straight, the Bentley straight, where I think we're going to see quite a lot of overtaking on this end of the straight. We may see some into turn 1, of course, as you'd expect. But for me, always around here, it's Agostini, that circuit in the hairpin in the middle of the lap, which is a really good overtaking opportunity. But this is the number 1 overtake. It's a risky corner, but if you have it in the right spot, you're lining yourself up for what could be, in air quotes, an easy move. It's a pretty tricky corner, is Brundle, but if you're on the inside there, or even the outside, you can make it stick and give you the inside for the next corner and carry the momentum through.
You absolutely can, because then obviously you've got that right-hander at Nelson, and all that momentum, all that pace is where it counts. But Marcel Fuzi in the Sidemax Motorworks at number 94, currently in 18th. At the moment, 4/10 behind the leader. Had a decent start there, but 2/10 up moves him into 5th place there.
See also that Grunewald has improved and gone on to the pole position of 1:45.597 at the moment, 0.015 ahead of Ogorognikov at the moment in this session. Things remaining very, very tight. Petrochenko's got a purple sector, at least from what I saw maybe a couple laps ago, in what is now 16th place, so still no decent lap time. Curiosity as to what's happening there, as we see René Savet, who's currently in 24th, starting a lap. We're approaching the end of the session, still plenty of time, 6 minutes. Drivers will be starting their final stints. That will not help, completely missing the apex into Wilson. Certainly not the ideal line.
It's really not going to help your qualifying pace for sure. One driver that I've been really a little bit surprised by, the 164 of Konstantin Soldatov, currently 1.7 seconds off of the lead in the McLaren 720S. Now he's a driver definitely you would expect to be in the top 10, but he's just not having the pace. So again, these drivers showing the practice that they've been able to put in over the past 24 hours, as Nick Babin takes a huge chunk of the curb there at Nelson. That is one of the overwhelming bits of feedback that we heard from Josh Martin 2 days ago on the launch stream, is that the tracks that have been added, the curbs, these GT3 cars really don't like to hop over the curbs. They're incredibly aggressive and they do unsettle your car. Nick Babin just proving that point excellently.
Yeah. That was quite a large hit there through Nelson. It's certainly one of the harder corners on the circuit, as we see Harveld, who's looking pretty fast at the moment, going green. That was coming through Corum, through Bombhole, into Corum now, into the final sector. The Porsche looking pretty fast at the moment. Let's keep our eye on him. There's a few drivers as well improving. You are right, they are firing in their lap times late on here. Are we going to see any improvements from these drivers and see anyone challenge Grunewald for pole position? Not looking like it's going to be pole for Hartveld. It is 3rd though. That is mad. Within a 10th of pole position, jumps up the order. What a competitive field we've got here.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. And then look at that, the point you made up there earlier, about 33 cars, Lewis, in 1 second of the leader. I mean, I really struggle to see any other series putting in that level of closeness of competition. It's just absolutely crazy. And the thing is, that will completely keep going through the next 90 minutes.
It is going to be pretty tight. We've got a good lap time here coming in from Babin, who's half a second up at the moment on the Bentley straight, coming down towards Brundle and Nelson. Let's see if he smashes this curb on the inside this time. Keep your eye closed. Is he going to hit it? No, look to right, but I think he may have just understeered a little bit there. I'm not quite sure he hooked it in to Nelson. Dropping a little bit of time there through Bombhole, bit of traffic, but nothing too much. Looking good to potentially challenge, at least for the front row of the grid, potentially pole position, final corner. Oh, looks good through there, a little bit dancey on exit, but this could be good. What's Nick Babin going to do? Currently in 11th position in the number 707. Is it going to challenge for pole position? 3 minutes left on the clock, only 3rd place, 0.042 off of pole. Look at the top 5, all of them within a 10th, and Kiss is not far off as well.
Oh, this is outrageous stuff we've got going on, and this isn't just getting started. This next 3 minutes is going to be incredibly intense because the drivers are just going to be pushing, and we saw there Nick Babin just getting past that traffic like they weren't even on the track at all. Got to take a quick moment to say hello to the Igor Ogorodnikov, the loyal Igor Ogorodnikov fan club that always come out in force on the YouTube chat. They're out in force tonight. They're a little bit disgruntled that their reserved P1 has been rudely taken from the number 52 of Tobias Gronwald. So yeah, they're not too happy with that one tonight.
Still plenty of time though in this session. I say plenty. There's enough time for another couple of laps. I will say that Ogorodnikov is currently on one, although he has just missed the apex at Palmer, what I've just seen going through there. So I don't think the lap that he's currently on is going to be challenging for pole position. It needs to be a perfect lap to challenge the 45.597 that Gronwald currently has. What does Tauscher do to the line? Ninth place stays, but starting what will be his penultimate lap of the session, potentially even his final lap of the session. 3.43 Benedetti currently running through Agostini at the middle part of the lap. That's a great overtaking opportunity, which I'm sure we're going to see in the race. Through Hamilton, this is a corner that Petrochenko was struggling with, as well as the entire lap, it seems, because Petrochenko's only in 18th place, now 19th.
Incredible stuff. A minute and a half left to go in qualifying tonight here for the 90 minutes of Snetterton as we watch Andrea Benedetti in the GTWR 343 McLaren right now, 3/10 off of pole position just now. And then it's Michael Tauscher in the GRT number 16 outfit. That Lamborghini looking very fast and planted. It's not normally two words that you would kind of put towards a Lamborghini, but certainly Lamborghini and the Audi looking a little bit better in terms of setup than they normally do. We usually see them as fast, unpredictable and twitchy cars, and they're not looking like that tonight.
Not yet. Igor Ogorodnikov, by the way, has just started his final lap of the session, so the fan base will be going wild and hoping that he can do the GT. We'll have to keep our eye on it. Oh, that was too wide there from Tauscher. That was way too wide at Nelson. Only a few corners to go. I think this lap is pretty much done in that sense. We'll be hard pressed to improve. Just ahead of him, though, we had Corey Pride, who's on the midpoint of the lap there. Let's have a look through the final corner. Not stunning from the 16, but not bad. Is there going to be an improvement to move himself inside the top 10? 8th, still decent improvement. Gets ahead of Brambilla, who's currently now dropped down to 9th place, and Fuzi into 10th. Corey Pride moved outside, Cody Pride rather, moved outside of the top 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, Cody Pride, though, doing a great job to actually get himself up there for the majority of the qualifying session. Lewis, he was down there in about 25th and 26th place, as we see Jack McIntyre taking the scenic route out of that final corner there at Murray, so that is going to destroy things for him. But here comes Igor Ogorodnikov. Can he take it on the last lap that he's got just now? We'll watch him as he's going down towards Nelson for the final time through Brundle. That right-hander at Nelson again avoids that curb on the right-hand side, and it's on the move down to Bombhole. I love that. That has got to be, in all of British racing, that's got to be the best corner name for a track ever. But he's coming through Corham now for the final time, and all eyes right now are on the contender for pole position, Igor Ogorodnikov for Vrides 41. Ooh. Oh, big power slide out of the corner there. Can Igor Ogorodnikov take this? Let's see as he goes across the line just now. I don't think it is. Yep. No. There we go.
Didn't miss out by much, though. Did not miss out by much, not even on that lap. So there was potential, and that says to me that there is potential come the race. Richter goes to 21st position in his AMG Mercedes, and so moving his way up the order. Gronwald, though, looks to be confirmed for a pole position. There we go, the number 52 ahead of Igor Ogorodnikov and Nick Babin, Hartfeld as well, the top 4. Some pretty tight lap times there, David, and I'm not gonna do the whole who do you think's gonna win the race thing, because it's a bit boring. I think we can steer clear of that, because let's be honest, with a grid like this, we've got 6 drivers basically within a tenth of a second. Everyone else behind is tight. Anyone can win this race, and I think you'd almost be a fool to bet.
You absolutely would. The easiest way of determining who's going to win this race is by closing your eyes, pointing your finger at the screen, and that person is possibly going to win the race. Who knows? I mean, I've never seen it where we've had 20 drivers within 4.5 tenths of a second of the pole. Incredible pace, and all these guys brand new to this track, but only had a maximum of 24 hours practice in this platform. They might have maybe went to another sim to go and do a little bit of practice, but either way, I mean, those are some stellar times, Lewis.
Certainly are, and to be fair, considering the track was only released yesterday and we've not had too much experience on it, it is fantastic to see a grid this close on this little practice. Shows how strong the drivers and grids are here at the Sim Grid, and the 90-minute race ahead of us is a tantalising prospect for what could be. We're looking like we've got a fantastically close grid, and I don't see that separating too far across the race. Maybe if weather gets involved, we'll have to wait and see. 2 pit stops forced across the running of the 90-minute race. Ooh, I wouldn't even know where to begin trying to build that one up. I'm very excited.
I've got to be honest, of all of the races we could have you on your very first event here at the Sim Grid, it's almost like this is scripted to be one of the most intense and impacting races that we've got coming up. And I've got to be honest, I think this is just the start of things to come. We've got so many events coming up in the next couple of months, and as I said, the entry list tonight is like a who's who of the Sim Grid, and it just shows how incredibly close it is up at the top.
Yeah, drivers will be looking to impress in this scenario and be good drivers as well across their running, because you say big events coming up. The Sim Grid World Cup, the VCO World Cup coming up fairly shortly. It's only in a couple of months that starts, and that's going to be absolutely huge. You see it there, a massive event, not only for the Sim Grid, but for sim racing in general on Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's going to be massive. I am fantastically excited to see that one come about, but the drivers do have to behave now.
They certainly do, and a lot of them will be trying to earn brownie points, because remember, it's an application system to get your position into the World Cup. That $20,000 prize fund isn't just going to come and throw itself across your direction. And then with the further news this week, of course, with SimGrid partnering up with the title sponsor of VCO, that's just another incredible step up for the series, for the championship. And yeah, this is probably going to be one of the biggest sim racing events in 2021.
I am fantastically excited for the future, but of course for the now as well. We are nearly ready to go racing as the drivers prepared on the grid, about to start the formation lap in just a little while. And for those looking fairly closely, that is rain. The track is damp. The rain is coming down. Now for a driver on the grid, if I'm starting at the front, I am not liking this at all. I want it to be clear. I want it to either be very, very wet or very, very dry, not in between. Whereas if I'm at the back, this is where a bold choice on tyre strategy could throw you up towards the front. The tyre choice is not going to be easy here.
I've got to be honest, I think I'm going to have to go and replace my F key tonight, because I'm going to be overusing it with the amount of things that we're about to see potentially, just purely because it's such a tight, twisty track here, and those changeable conditions. I mean, it's starting off damp. It's in that horrible in-between phase. It's not wet enough to even think about wet, but it's not dry. You still have to be very, very careful, thinking about where you're going to put the foot down, trying to get that traction and trying to get speed and keep the heat in the tyres as well.
Grip will be at an absolute premium, and saying at the end of that qualifying session that a winner could come from anywhere in conditions like this, that is genuine. We see that some drivers do actually have some wet tyres on. We've got a little bit before they start rolling, but some drivers taking a risk at the moment on wet, some drivers taking a risk at the moment on slicks, and let's be honest, no matter which way you go on tyre strategy at the moment, either way is a risk. There isn't a clear-cut option.
I'm just also thinking, just having a look on the side walls of the tyres, the ones that don't have the Pirelli logo are the wet tyres. So you see the little red symbol on the side, that signifies they're a wet tyre. So you can see their little red rectangle. So those are wet tyres. And this is the thing, this is another point of the update. So what I'm hearing from the drivers since the 1.7 update that came out yesterday as well, is that wet tyres aren't as quick to burn themselves out, to chew themselves out. So we might not see the same level of degradation, but the leader is on slicks and P2 is on wets. So I think that right there is the majority of our story. Tobias Grunwald on slicks, Igor Ogrodnikov on wet tyres. Have we seen a master stroke of strategy before we even get started?
The Yiga fan base will be hoping that this strategy call goes the way of Ogrodnikov. Us up here in the commentary booth, where the pressure of picking the right tyre is not in our hands, we're fine. We're fairly relaxed at the moment. I just want to see a good race, and the wet. Oh, so many questions about to unfold, and the sort of pressure, I guess, for this race to be a good one. I mean, there's so many factors here.
Yeah, there is. For me personally, I wouldn't be taking the call for wets. I'd be going on severely overpressured slick tyres right now. Certainly until the first pit stop. You've got those 2 mandatory pit stops. If it gets too bad, jump in, take the wets, and I think wets might not be the best call right now.
See, I'm seeing that rain coming down. It doesn't feel like it's getting much lighter. I don't know where I'm going. I'm almost tempted that I would be a wet runner at the moment, but I am the inexperienced here. I would listen to your judgment at the moment, so all the pressure is now on your shoulders, I'm afraid.
I'm likely to bin it into the wall anyway, so that pressure is not a problem whatsoever. But back to the racetrack. Here we go, Lewis. Our very first green flag lap here for 90 minutes of Snetterton, a track that I'm positive we will see much more of in the future here at the SimGrid. Huge thanks to our partners as always at Coach Dave Academy, providing some of the best developed esports setups, and of course to Thrustmaster as well. I always say that I'm completely biased. I've got a T150 behind me. It has lasted me for about 4 years, and I love that little budget wheel so much. So again, thank you to Coach Dave Academy and Thrustmaster for making events like this absolutely possible.
Yeah, huge thanks to everyone in sim racing that pushes everything forward. Oh, darting through a little bit there just to try and hold track position a little bit. I saw Ogrodnikov did not really get moving at a particularly speedy rate from the grid there, but is now in that second position as we run through Wilson at the moment on screen. They're going through Palmer at the moment, the leaders. We'll see them all line up a little bit later in the lap. Did get the call that of the top 6, we are split 50-50. 3 drivers on the slicks, 3 drivers on the wet. Now, I don't know about you, that's looking pretty wet at the moment. The rain is coming down. It's not ridiculously heavy, but it's enough.
It looks different to how it was on the start grid. Like this part of the circuit here, this camera angle, yeah, that's starting to change my opinion massively. But on the start line, it was looking like it was just a light drizzle. Also remember that the weather is quite dynamic in Assetto Corsa Competizione, so you will have patches where it'll get a little bit stronger and then it'll maybe die off a little bit as well. But still, just now, I think maybe 2 to 3 laps, the slicks are really going to have a lot of pace here. But remember, as well as overpressuring the slicks, you can also underpressure the wets as well. So that might be a gamble worth taking on as well.
There was nearly a huge crash there in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. The number 77. I think it was all right though. I was panicking then, but it's okay because obviously they go to each other. I've tried that as well because I'm terrible in formation. I'm a naughty boy. But alas, thankfully not a crash. But it wasn't too far away. The drivers should be lining up now as everyone's trying to find their way through. Ogrodnikov, though, has been off the road a little bit there. Oh, grip even on this formation, even at these speeds. David, are looking tricky.
That's not the best look for his fan club on YouTube, is it? Igor Ogrodnikov taking a slightly longer way around the corner there at Nelson, but gets back on the straight, and we're just a couple of corners away. We're going round the bomb hole here. Got Coram left to go. Lewis, this is starting to get really, really interesting here now. 90-minute race. Yeah, I am super, super excited.
It is going to be fantastic. The SimGrid 90 minutes of Snetterton event here. A fun event for us, and a top 10 looking fantastically fast. Weather is playing its part. Lewis McGlade alongside me, David Christie, as we're on the start grid to get going. The top 10 at the moment: Gronewold, Ogrodnikov, Babin, Harteveld, Props, Kisser, McGregor, Tauscher, Brambilla and Fusi. Let's see what is going to happen. A couple of corners before we get into the real bit of racing. We're on the start grid now. Rich is the first one. Let's have a look. A massive 39 car grid here at the Sim Grid, and the green flag is in the air. Gronewold is clearing away on the left-hand side of your screen, with Ogrodnikov going to the outside, now being dived on the inside by a Porsche, but it's okay because Babin had absolutely nowhere to go. Everyone seems fine through turn one. We've got a Lamborghini off in the background though. Oh, that was Tauscher, I believe, who's got back onto the road, and everyone going, I would say, no, Tauscher's round. Tauscher is round to the background. Oh, goodness. So there was the chaos and calamity that we were expecting. It was clean until that point going into Wilson, but at the moment, the top lot at least seem fine.
Well, there's a couple of Fs already for some of the midfield just now, but yeah, the front pack are well and truly settling down, and this is what happens. The mid pack is always like some sort of battle out of Lord of the Rings. It's every man and woman for themselves and using any available weapon to hold themselves off. We see a car going very, very wide and coming back onto the grass. Oh, that's going to be a huge accident there. Oh my goodness me, that's going to be 4 or 5 cars caught up, and that is 3. Oh, that could have been so much worse, Lewis.
Yeah, I think it was Decker's Dendy as well was picked up in all of that. It was pretty manic and still continuing going through Hamilton in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Our focus on the leaders at the moment in the top lot, as I think Decker's has pulled off, and Dendy as well, continuing the drama down towards the back end. The top lot low, focusing on the positive. Gronewold leading by 1.1 seconds away from Ogrodnikov. Babin not too far in behind. Harteveld, Props and McGregor in your top 6. Tyre choice at the moment, considering where everything is, still a big question mark as to who's on the right ones.
I'm really not sure at the moment, because Igor Ogrodnikov on those wets seems to be falling into the clutches of Nick Babin right now in that Porsche, because Gronewold seems to have gotten the bit of a gap there. It's 1 second ahead, but just looking at that, it's Igor Ogrodnikov from Nick Babin, then it's Harteveld, and then Thibaut Prost in that little battle as well, as we see Nick Babin weaving. Is he trying to get heat into those tyres?
I think he was there. Look at that dive from Props. Oh my goodness, that was a full-on send on Harteveld there into Wilson. That was brave with a question mark on the end. That could have ended in absolute tears. It does look like he's closing up. I think, by the way, the tyres, Babin's off the road. Babin is off the road there at Agostini. Oh, I think the tyres are starting to switch around. The slick tyres are really falling off at the moment as the wet continues to build and build and build. Ogrodnikov is closing in on your race leader. It's now down to 0.9 of a second.
Yeah, that's a great observation there. That's exactly what has happened here. And of course, with Nick going off the road, that cools his tyres down massively. So all that work he's done over the past 2 laps, trying to get heat into the tyres, trying to get any sort of traction into them, is now completely negated whatsoever. So Nick Babin is a sitting duck here. He's going to find himself really getting absolutely munched from, I think that's Brambilla he's got behind him as well, as we see McGregor trying to make his way. He's got Kisser just behind him in the 66 Lamborghini, but yeah, I just can't see how Nick Babin is going to be able to stay out really right now with the current conditions.
It's looking pretty tricky. He seems to be struggling with it more than most. Ogoroknikov has closed it down now to 0.6 of a second across as they start to cross the line for the second time. Babin dropping backwards into the clutches of Bomb and Lures as well, who's moving their way up. The order is absolutely mad. Some of the drivers dropping back, some of the drivers moving forward. Ogoroknikov is right on the back of Gronewold now. Props does not have the pace to keep up with even the top two, let alone Ogoroknikov, who seems to be the fastest driver on track at the moment.
I'm loving the YouTube chat at the moment with the complaints about the weather at the moment, and it's yeah, it's like, have they never seen Britain in the winter? The flood warnings. Oh, the Ogoroknikov took a little bit too much of that curb there. You saw just how much that car spun to the opposite side of the track there. But yeah, I've got to be honest, it's wets now. Look at how much faster Ogoroknikov is faster than Grunwald in this lap alone. He's right onto the back, and I cannot see him being able to survive to the end of the lap here.
Last guesser up to 5th position. Ross McGregor, a bit of a mistake, and having been passed, I think that might have been into Agostini, that McGregor and he's gone a little bit wide there as well. So Oggy's not looking so good. Lap 3 for McGregor, not ideal, dropping a position, still running in 6th place, could be decent in that Bentley, but Brambilla is moving his way up. He's currently in 7th position, has moved up from, pretty sure it was 9th or 10th when he started the race, he's moved up into 7th after that move. On Babin as well. Let's take a look at a replay and see what's been happening a bit further down in the pack.
So this is from the start here, and that's Jean-Luc Gantz that we see here. The 666 car already off in the background. That's George Boothby falling down the order, but we see him going round the outside here, the number 34, and yeah, that's, you hate to see it, do you?
It's just easily done in these conditions. I mean, the first couple of corners around here, the run from Riches into Wilson is, it's a tempting dive in there, and it's quite a tricky corner to depart regardless, let alone considering the very, very tricky conditions that we currently have. McGregor has not got the pace to keep up with this man, Lars Kisser, at the moment, who is pulling away from that. Here is the race start in that mid-pack as well from other angles. It's dicey in the middle of there. Who was that who was being spun in the green Porsche? I think that was Gantz.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Gantz coming back on and just colliding with everyone else there. That was actually the 77 of Vasily Anufriev. Now, I don't know if I saw things on that, Lewis, but I'm pretty sure I saw a little bit of a hip check there from the McLaren there. That'll be up to race control to decide. Of course, we do get live penalties adjudicated through the event, so we'll see what happens there. But still on board, so I've got a horrible feeling something else happens here. 3 into 1 corner surely isn't going to go. And this is where the car comes back on, and absolutely, yeah, that could have been so much worse.
It could have been. They're lucky there's only 4 or so involved in that incident, but look at this that we're seeing at the moment as the battling for 8th and 7th and 8th position between Brambilla and Bomb as well. Through that Oggy's and Williams sort of section of the track, they were darting, ducking and weaving, trying to just find any sort of clean air and try and get by the next car. Defending around here is not hugely difficult, because as much as there's a lot of overtaking opportunities, they're fairly easy to cover off, which is why Gronewold is still holding on to the race lead, although I think that's a ... because here comes Ogoroknikov for the race lead. Oh no, Tausch just spinning around there, diving it down the inside. That was not good, but we do have a change to the race lead as Ogoroknikov is going for it on the start-finish straight. He has gone up into the lead of the race, and Ogoroknikov takes control at the front. Gronewold just was a little bit slow. Well, I'm sure we'll catch a little bit of a replay and we'll get Mike Gow to cue that one up. As it was a little bit slow out of the final corner from Gronewold, and allowed Ogoroknikov through. Decent move there, and I'm sure the Yiga fan base will be going wild.
They will be in just a second when they actually see that. But yeah, this is getting a little bit dicey here. The battle for 7th, 8th, 9th position, all looking very, very close indeed, because Ross McGregor now up into 6th place in that 15 Bentley, the Boatley, as I lovingly like to refer to it, because it is a bit of a yacht in these types of conditions right now. But yeah, what a cracking battle. And this is what I love, all of these cars up at the front can race together. Here's the replay of that change for the lead.
Yeah, watch the 52, it just runs out a little bit too wide, loses a little bit of traction on the exit of the final corner of Murray's, and the 41 didn't need a second invitation, and away he goes up into the race lead. Fantastic stuff, and a well-judged move there from Igor Rognikov, who moves up into the lead of the race. There's been some dicey stuff happening here. McGregor's gone from all of this. Bomb and Brambilla came together just a little bit. Babin's coming back into this, as is Van der Koekout, who's in that red McLaren in the background, looking to the inside as they run into Brundle. Goes Babin, oh, near contact, but they are all right. Well judged. Van der Koekout, though, is going to get involved in this and try and move his way through. Should be an easy move going into Bombhole. Nice run out of Nelson, and he moves his way up into 9th place.
A point you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago was the fact that it's not difficult to overtake or to defend here, and that's because it's a very fast-flowing circuit. You find that if you defend yourself in one corner, you leave yourself vulnerable for the next, and vice versa. It really does sort of come in dribs and drabs. But just seeing Grunewald there, he is absolutely going backwards, and if the traction is so difficult as we see that he's making it there, I've got to give him massive credit for holding on to that car, because it is all so difficult on slick tyres to hold it in these really, really greasy, treacherous conditions.
Whilst he was holding Yiga back, though, it's allowed Props to close that gap. That's why he was within a second when there was 1.9 or so between them a little bit earlier. So Props has used that time to close back up, but now he is facing the same challenge that Olga Ognikov had a little bit earlier, is trying to find that move on the 52. It's not an easy one to do. The AMG's running 1, 2, 3 at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that battle on the right-hand side of your screen. As on the main bit, we are seeing the battle as Bombs made the move there on Brambilla, and they're still going side by side. Brambilla's trying to force his way back. Oh, that's lovely, held around the outside of Oggies. He's going to have to do a master plan to make it around Williams. He certainly isn't going to drop it back into line. Van der Koekout, though, looking pretty fast at the moment, maybe the fastest of this pack. Look at, whilst all these drivers have been battling, Ross McGregor has bought his ticket and run away from this pack, not being able to keep up. Bit of a late move there from Bomb as Brambilla moved to the inside, but then moved back across. A little bit of a... Oh, that was a bit of a contact there, Brambilla. Oh, there we go. That would almost be classified as karma, but the 71 unfortunately having to pay the price of that, and Bomb drops to the back of the pack.
Yeah, I think that is what the cool kids call yeeting it into the corner from Jacob Bomb there. That was very unfortunate to see, and it did. Again, it might have been completely different on the track, but it did look like that was nothing more than frustration there from Jacob Bomb, as the car just sort of twitched from one side to the other straight into the quarter panel. So yeah, difficult to see, and it's so frustrating. But one person...
Oh no! Grunewald's been spun! Grunewald's been spun by Props! Oh no! We'll need to take a second look at that. I only caught that slightly out of the corner of my eye, but that was the same corner that Props did a very large dive earlier in the race.
Oh, that is so frustrating to see. And of course, I was too busy looking picture in picture, because I was away to go and compliment Jason Lures in the Bentley for being able to catch up to that group. He's quietly been plodding away, and then all hell kicks off. And I was also away to make the point, which is kind of irrelevant now, that these guys up in the top 10, they don't seem to get themselves in the same level of contact and the same level of aggression that you see in that mid-pack.
Yeah, they're normally fairly well judged, but let's have a look. Let's take a look. Just overdid it. Oh, it's the lightest touch. It is the lightest touch on the back of Grunewald. That is very, very unfortunate. Unfortunately, though, for Props, that is of his fault. He was the one that made contact at that point, just overdid the corner a little bit, and even the smallest brush in these conditions is enough to send a car around. They're on the limit of adhesion going through even a corner like that. You know, you're throwing it in and you're trying to really get it in. It's only just a brush that it takes for a spin to have happen. Niels van der Koekout, though, marching his way up the order, up to 7th position now, getting past Brambilla. So decent movement. This is on board with Props, and there it is. There's that brush. That's a massive shame for Grunewald.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because obviously he's able to take much more speed into that corner with those wet tyres, and Gronvald is really compromised. As Niels van de Kerk goes very, very wide, we see the Mercedes of Brambilla, Daniel Brambilla, having a huge moment there, losing several places, and he has been absolutely mugged on that corner exit there. I want to see that again, see if he had any contact to help him across the road there, but he is now on... he's definitely on the back foot after that one.
McIntyre as well, also getting through, will be on the inside into Wilson. Babin and Lures as well, battling in the foreground as Babin's desperately defending for what is currently 8th position. Pretty crazy moments there as McIntyre has got through and up into 11th place. It's just the nature of racing in conditions as tricky as this, and some drivers very much on the limit. Look at that move there over to the other side of the circuit from Props, maybe just sort of picking up a bit more wet stuff, maybe just effectively trying to cover it off and saying to Hartveld, who's in behind, yeah, you're going to have a bit of a harder time trying to pass me than maybe you think. Igor Ogrodnikov, though, 4 seconds in the lead.
This is going to be a replay of the 4 of Daniel Brambilla on the exit of the final corner there of Murray's. This is on the entrance there. He gets onto the power too early. No, it was just all by himself. Very lucky not to have any contact whatsoever, but just too greedy with that throttle, and that's cost him 3 places.
Wow, it's so easy to do. It is so easy to do, even with any sort of assists and whatnot. It's just in this limited grip, especially running out there on the curbs and stuff. You bounce over the curbs. The curbs are quite rough here. You know, the teeth are very, very aggressive on that curbing, and it just spins you around. Tauscher, who's been in a fair bit of contact at the moment. Oh, as he's then run it a little bit wide, and it's going to open the door for Schur as well to get through. The Aston Martin behind this as well of Benedetti, who's been moving his way up the order. I'm pretty sure he started fairly low down. No, he was involved in the incidents on lap 1, working his way back up. Started from 16th place, now currently running in 22nd. It's not him anyway, it's Batty. Regardless, Benedetti is the one in behind this.
I'm watching Tauscher, and I've seen him get into several incidents that really didn't need to happen, and all I can think is race control are going to have an absolute field day, so I wouldn't be surprised to see any penalties incoming for him in the next 20 minutes or so. But yeah, I mean, look, we're 15 minutes in. It feels like we've already done 45 minutes as we see Tauscher up the inside. That is what we want to see. That was a really nice move, really clean, up the inside at Montreal, and yeah, that made that look very, very nice indeed.
Yeah, Benedetti and Batty as well in behind were sort of sliding it up the inside as just trying to make those moves stick. Benedetti trying to work his way back up the order. There's another diver, Agostini, just behind this, but nothing working for now. Oh, no, he is going to make it stick, though. On the exit of Agostini, drawing alongside Nidza Hamilton, should be move complete. A bit of a note as well, getting it that Kilian Ryan Meenan has moved up 18 spots, up into 15th place, showing how crazy some of the racing has been. 18 positions in less than 18 minutes.
Yeah, wild stuff. We see Benedetti going door to door right now with the McLaren of Schur. I think that is in 20th position, as we see Paul Batty getting left for absolute dead right now. Fantastic action that we've had here in the opening 18 minutes of the race here. 90 minutes of Snetterton here on the sim grids. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Lewis McGlade, taking us alongside myself, David Christie. And Lewis, for your first race, for your first 20 minutes, it's been a bit epic, hasn't it? It's been
interesting. It's been exciting, thrilling, in fact. And I get the feeling that the next hour and 12 minutes of this race are going to follow suit as well. Pit stop still to come. A bit of a note as we're seeing Jack McIntyre battling it out with Brambilla, who obviously lost it at the final corner and dropped back into the pack. That's why he's dropped back there. Anyone who was missing that incident, Jack McIntyre in that 11th spot defending, and it's quite nicely held around the outside there, and no way through for Brambilla. The note was that Hartveld, who was running in 3rd position and right on the back of Probst, is in 6th place at the moment. So potentially another incident there for Props. We saw obviously. Who was that for?
That was Ross McGregor. That was Ross McGregor going a little bit wide on the TV field, TV feed here, just being overtaken by Chris Hartfield from the GTWR racing team. And again, we've seen a couple of cars moving over to the alternate side of the tracks. I wonder if they're trying to cool these tyres down a little bit.
I think it might be heading back the way of slicks potentially. I think I saw another driver off the road. I'm not sure who it was. I think it might have been Will Dendy actually, because there was a black car off the road somewhere. But I thought it was someone for position. But we were okay. No need to panic. I'm just panicking myself. Lurs, who moved up into the top 10. Is looking to potentially struggle at the moment, as McIntyre is on the back of him and dragging Brambilla as well. Going to back off a little bit into the final corner just to try and get a good run from Murray's on that start-finish straight. Seems to have worked quite nicely for the Audi R8 of McIntyre. Has got to go to the outside though, into Riches for turn 1. Lurs is defending the inside of the 88. I think there's almost a little bit of a lift from him conceding. No, there is not. They're going to have to do this the hard way as McIntyre lovely around the outside. Nothing between the two of them. Brilliant move from Jack McIntyre. Brambilla as well, trying to fight his way through and all of that. He's going to go to the outside into the hairpin, and he is going to make it stick as well. Wow, nice stuff from those two getting by Lurs. Nice stuff from Lurs as well, not to push it a little bit too far. It's very easy to do when you're trying to defend a position. That was fair defence and sort of didn't give up, but just held firm when he needed to and dropped back when he didn't. Nice stuff.
100%, and Lurs is going to be left with a massive sad face on that, because the pace that both McIntyre and Brambilla had and the confidence in their cars to be able to make that move stick around the outside of 2 consecutive corners. Well, I guess it's actually the one corner, just 2 separate moments. I mean that was fantastic awareness from both McIntyre and Brambilla, and from Lurs, as you pointed out as well, to allow them to make that move.
Yeah, it's overtaking. I've always said this in sim racing and motorsport stuff, that overtaking takes 2 people. It takes 2 to tango. And yes, as much as it's we see this a lot in sim racing where a move is done, right? But there's always, but I'm still there. I've got 3 millimeters alongside. It's like, that's not an overlap. Let's just back out and just have a good race. Yeah. And that's a great example as to how to do it. There was room left between the two of them. It was hard, tight racing. That is exactly what we want to see. Van der Koekout, who has been up, I believe the note was +5 positions at the moment. It looks to be potentially a +6 though, as Ross McGregor over to the left-hand side of the screen, the right-hand side of the road, cooling his tyres, defending a little bit. Van der Koekout a little bit too hot though into Riches as well. There is the change though between the tyres, that McGregor is on the wet tyres and Van der Koekout on the slicks, potentially showing us Babin and Bomb going side by side into the Wilson hairpin. That maybe it's starting to head back the way of the slick tyres if Van der Koekout is able to make this kind of progress.
This is exactly what we were talking about before the race as well, Lewis. It's that horrible position where it's not really one or the other. It's not amazing for the wets. It's what McGregor goes very, very wide there, and Niels Van der Koekout. It's like taking candy from a baby, and Ross McGregor's going to be sent backwards behind Nick Babin, and I think Jacob Baum is possibly going to get that move as well. It's onto the right-hander here. Yeah, that is very unfortunate. The Bentley straight into the back of Jacob Baum, and that really didn't need to happen there. This is, Lewis, you made that point about 2 minutes ago about it taking 2 people to overtake, and it's difficult. Don't get me wrong. It's really difficult to see cars going past you and that red list descends, and all you want to do is just stick the foot in and just try and take that position back. But more often than not, you just end up costing yourself a couple of places.
Yeah, it's for me, McGregor there. I like Ross. I've known Ross for a long time. I've raced with Ross since 2014, I think, in various places in sim racing. He's taken a break in time and come back, etc., etc. But that move there, that final bit, was just a little bit too unnecessary, and he sort of left it where if he'd have backed out of it, got back in line and just carried on, then he'd be fine. Whereas now what he's done is he's cost Bomb quite a bit, and potentially even himself a little bit later on. Jack McIntyre though on the back of him, the two fairly close teammates, sort of, I guess. They're close, they're hanging out, so that's fine. McIntyre, though, will be looking to get by pretty sharpish. The brakes, though, for McGregor, obviously more so down to the tyre limitation. There's the switch between the two of them working together. The brakes on that Bentley not looking so good at the moment. It's just not being able to stop the car on the tyres that he's currently on.
Well, we saw him 2 laps ago moving over to that left-hand side, and we wondered, had he overcooked his tyres? With the fact that he's now fallen very rapidly backwards through the order, I think that would suggest, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the wet tyres, but remember, the more that you have to fight, the more you have to defend, the more that pressure and heat that you put into those tyres, the quicker they will potentially burn up. So it could be that his tyres have maybe reached the end of its life, and we can see Lucas Kreuzer there with a 15-second time penalty. I'm sure we'll get an update in just a second, but I'd noticed a penalty that we did have there, and that was for lap 1 contact between Michael Kauscher and Marcel Fouzy, and Marcel Fouzy actually getting a penalty off of that. So we see more penalties coming in then. Jean-Luc Gantz in the 12 Porsche gets a 15-second penalty as well, and this is when your mid-pack battle starts to get that little bit harder.
Yeah, there is a wave of penalties matching the conditions coming in at the moment as Bomb's off the road again at Coram on the inside, makes contact with a barrier. Oh, that could be potentially even day done for him. That's not pretty to see. And Cruiser then 11th place, the number 96, who saved 15-second time penalty. I'm almost potentially expecting one for Ross McGregor, dependent on what happens with that incident, but obviously time will tell. Bomb back on the road in the background, that green Porsche just coming through the final corner. There's some of the other incidents that we're seeing appearing on your screen involving 666 and 96. That is a penalty that was between Boothby and... Oh no, there's further contact. Oh, we're getting a bit messy here, boys.
Just to jump in a very quick second, Lewis, what has happened to our race leader, Igor Ogorodnikov? He was about 3 or 4 seconds up the road from Thibaut Prost. That gap's now 1.5 seconds. Has Igor Ogorodnikov had some sort of an issue down the track? Because, I mean, to lose that amount of time, yeah, that's a little bit unnerving.
I wonder if there is... I think they're both on wets between Probst and Ogorodnikov, but I think Probst has just used his tyres a little bit better. And I did notice that it had gone down from 4 seconds to about 2.9 a lap or two ago, so we'd started closing it in. However, that 2.9 second gap has been absolutely detonated over this lap, and it's now 1.2. Igor Ogorodnikov is just not looking so hot at the moment. The only thing that is looking hot on his car is his tyres. They are on fire at the moment, and you get the feeling that Probst is on his way. But absolutely, he's also a little bit in trouble, isn't he? Because he obviously had that contact between himself and Groenewold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Thibaut Prost has really got to watch himself as they see a yellow flag in Sector 2. That is the 28 car of Will Dendy, who's had another moment, and he's got going again. But yeah, he's not had the best of sessions. But this is it. It's now down to under a second, and that is exactly what has happened there, Lewis. The gap under 1 second, and Ogorodnikov's tyre are absolutely shot right now. He is going to have to really, really defend and keep a hold of this, because Prost right now, the pace that he's got, he needs to get past and get a gap to avoid any potential penalties that are incoming.
Yeah, he's looking massively fast at the moment. I thought Kisser was the fastest of the top 3, because he was also closing up with Probst, but it just didn't happen. He just wasn't there when these final laps have come in from Probst, and the gap's disappeared. Like I say, 0.6 of a second now, heading into the final part of this lap, and it looks like it's as near as makes no difference, almost a deal done between the two AMG drivers, that Ogorodnikov is going to drop down into second position, but he still has to do the move, does Probst, and the longer he takes to do it, the more likely that Kisser and Groenewold will come back into this. If the race, by the way, if the track is moving back the way of slicks, I'm pretty sure Kisser's on wet still, but Groenewold we know is on slicks. We know that Van der Koekout is on slicks, and these drivers will be the ones that, if it was to dry up at the moment, they've done such a good job just to keep in touch that if it does dry out, if it does start to, even though we're not really expecting it, they could potentially start moving their way back forwards. Focusing on this battle for the lead, Ogorognikov looks in trouble.
He certainly does. It's not looking all that good for Igor Ogorognikov, unfortunately for his fan base. I'm keeping an eye on Tobias Grunwald, the number 52 Mercedes as well, in 4th place there. He's a man on slicks right now, and he was dropping back, and now he's starting to gently close that gap up a little bit to Kisser in the number 66. Lars Kisser is slowly coming under a bit of pressure here. The early pressure that Prost was putting on him about a lap or two ago on your race leader, I think is starting to subdue a little bit now, because it's one thing catching up, but again, look at Prost moving over that left-hand side. By pushing that extra little bit to catch up, has he burned his tyres now?
It's exactly what I was going to say. I wonder if he has started to overdo his tyres in all of this. As we see this battle between Bomb and Petrochenko, there was a bit of contact between the two in the side-by-side that we saw on the right-hand side of your screen. Bomb made contact with the back of Petrochenko, dives it down the inside of the Wilson hairpin. It's going to give him the outside of the next corner at Palmer, and Petrochenko absolutely fired that one in, and that was never hitting the apex, not in a million years in these conditions. And Petrochenko's 100% win record in the sim grid looks to be ending after only a few races, but regardless, it looks like that one's not going to be continuing. He's got a long day ahead of him to move his way up. Still defensive from Ogorognikov, taking different lines on the straights, just trying to keep their tyres as cool as possible. Props not able to get through at the moment. The thing is, no matter how fast you are, even if you're 2-3 seconds a lap faster, although 2-3 seconds is quite large, if you close up to someone, you need to get by almost instantly, because if you don't, then it's almost like a psychological thing. You end up just doing their speed. It's hard to get through after a couple of laps, although saying that, it does look pretty good this time for Props. The number 99 is going to have to pick the outside of Riches at turn 1. Ogorognikov's going to be defending to the inside, potentially on less grip. Is Ogorognikov. Let's see what they do around the outside. Props is going to try and make it stick. He's going to cut back to the inside for the hairpin. Oh, big slide there from Ogorognikov, and it just blocked the road a little bit too much for Props, so he couldn't get through. He is going around the outside of the hairpin. It's going to give him the inside of Palmer. What a move from Props. That is fantastic stuff, and the lead goes his way now.
Well, that is an early contender for move of the race, but take a bow, Thibaut Prost in the GTWR Giant Truck Simulator Racing 99 outfit. That was one heck of a move. The balls on him to go round the outside and keep that car in. And again, from Igor Ogorognikov, not to block him, not to force the issue, and just to fight it out on the track. Yeah, well done to the pair of them, but that was stunning, stunning stuff. I think they're just slight air of inevitability to Igor Ogorognikov on that one.
Yeah, that was exciting stuff. I think for Igor, there wasn't much he could do, because through turn 1, it looked like Props was just faster. He got a bit of a slide on through the middle part of the corner, which you'd think, oh, that's him gone. But he managed to catch it, but right in the middle of the road, just as Props had the momentum, wasn't able to do anything. We've got a couple of back markers as well, fighting out just ahead of these two. Hopefully they get picked up and moved out of the way. It's Cruiser, the first one of the two they're coming up against. That's 34th place. Let's see there, the next driver. And I say, hopefully they dart out. We're in pit window, though, for potential movements down pit lane. And when they head down for their first time, I'd almost want to get out of behind these two, just in case they sort of get involved.
What catches my attention more, Lewis, is the fact that Race Control are under so much work right now. They're still only on lap 2 incidents right now. So while Prost might have taken the lead here, he could very well be under some real scrutiny from Race Control. But this is not helping him. Being behind these two lapped cars, or away to be lapped cars, as one of them moves out the way, that's not going to be helping his tyre situation out at all.
No, it's a bit of a shame that incident a little bit earlier on between Prost and between Grunewald, but obviously it happened, and I'm sure it'll be investigated. I feel for Race Control in this. It's not been none of the, or at least very little of what we've seen has been malicious. in intent when it comes to the incidents and stuff. It's all been, it's just been a little bit clumsy in the conditions that we saw. Example, a couple of laps ago, going into the corner that we're just coming up to now, into Palmer, Petrochenko just throwing it in a little bit too hard and causing a bit of an incident. It's just so easy to do that. You're a lot of the drivers, I think prior to this, especially in the practice before this, it was dry. And so there just wasn't much time to practice in these tricky conditions. Petrochenko not able to fight his way back up the order on the back of Ryan Meenan, and no way through at the moment in 14th and 15th position. A little bit disappointing for Petrochenko, although he is the second highest Lamborghini, so there is that. Being that the lead Lamborghini is Kisser, who's in third place. Rupert to the right-hand side, might be able to make it stick around the outside at the end of the straight, through Brundle into Nelson. It's going to be a brave move if he does so. Petrochenko's dropping his way back. Pace just not there this afternoon. Fantastic stuff from the Aston Martin. Oh, that is absolutely lovely. Tauscher, who's been in his fair few incidents this evening, is also right involved in that. And now Petrochenko hangs on. That was nice work from Petrochenko to hang on from the 72 of Felix Rupert, and as well Tauscher not able to get his nose alongside going into bomb hole. Petrochenko only 15th, but still fighting as if it's for a win, as if it's for anything. I think our lead driver, by the way, who's been into the pit lane is Martinez, who is currently running in 21st spot, although you have seen another couple of drivers as well in pit lane as well. Benedetti, the next one to pit from 19th.
Yeah, and 55 minutes left to go in the race. Anything's still possible. I know that sounds like such a cliche, but all being said and done, I think the gap from, say, 1st to 20th place is looking around about maybe 35 to 40 seconds. That is definitely enough time to bring yourself, to claw yourself back in, whether that is a very a very fortunate pit stop or whatever. It looks it could be done, but Grunwald under a lot of pressure here right now from Chris Hartwell in the 518 Porsche. Looks to the left hand side again. Those drivers that are looking to that left hand side almost certainly are on wets, and they're almost certainly looking to try and cool the temperature down.
Yeah, the pink car ahead as well, that Lamborghini, is Lars Kisser, who's currently in third position. So effectively this entire battle is for the podium. AMG and Mercedes looking for a potential lockout if Grunewald gets by, and we'll see Mercedes AMG 1, 2, 3. But Kisser is not going to hand over that podium position willingly. And Hartwell, I think, also has something to say about it, because his pace at the moment is looking pretty tasty. It's just how the race has been, is how this race has gone from one way. It's gone to the control of Ogoroknikov. It's gone to the control of Probst. Some drivers as well moving their way into it, out of it. Hartwell was 9/10 faster on the previous lap, so potentially going very, very fast. This driver has been moving his way up the order massively. The last time we checked in, he was in 15th place and he was plus 18. He's currently in 12th place. So a further plus 3 to make it 21 positions overall. Mad stuff from Killian Ryan Meenan.
Yeah, Killian Ryan Meenan is always a hard charger, no stranger to making his way up into the top 10. But Cormac Ryan Meenan as well has done a stunning job there down in 14th place. So, just one place in between them right now. Killian Ryan Meenan in 12th place. But it looks like Hartwell and Grunwald really battling out. Oh, and there's Killian Ryan Meenan, spoke too soon. Now, is that contact there from Brambilla? Because did you see that there? Brambilla waited for him to get on the track. I absolutely love seeing that.
Gentleman's rule, isn't it? If there's been contact, look, just wait, let it all sort of unfold, and like if you've hit someone off, it's obviously bad, and in my opinion, you still kind of do get a penalty for it, at least to some degree. But if you wait, at least there's sort of like the respect a part of it. Brambilla's well experienced in sim racing, so. No surprise to see him sort of hanging about. Let's take a look at that. We're on board with, or we're looking at rather, Brambilla, and let's take a look into Agostini. Just going to overdo it on the brakes. There's the onboard into the back of Killian Ryan Meenan, the number 23 receiving quite a whack, and there's the number 4 just hanging it there and being quite clear as to say, you carry on first. There is still that battle for 4th place as Groenewold and Hartveld are both pretty close. Heard that Martinez, who started last, who's currently running in 20th, which is fantastic, but he's also stopped. He's completed one of his pit sequences. Oh, look at that dive to the inside, overdone from Groenewold as well for good measure. And Hartveld takes 4th place into the hairpin. Had to open the steering a little bit from Groenewold is what we're hearing, and oh yeah, maybe it might need to be maybe looked at. I think Groenewold is a little bit tense going into that corner though, don't you think, Dave? Because obviously the incident he had between himself and Probst earlier, where he got spun out there, and I think that is just sitting in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I think he's going to feel a little bit hard done by with the way that this race has gone the first 40 minutes so far. He's really been unlucky or on the receiving end for this. Certainly the last 20 minutes of it, he was in a stage in the past about 10 minutes ago. We thought maybe those slick tyres are going to do him some good, but I've got to be honest, I think even the slick tyres now are just too slick around this wet track. You can see him on the exit corners, the car's drifting out to the curbing, and he's almost firing it off at a 90-degree angle. I think he does need to think about pitting in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, they've got 2 pit stops to do. We've had it's an hour and a half race. We've passed 40 minutes, so we're approaching the halfway point. And a lot of drivers at the top lot still yet to complete even their first stop. So, you might as well start spending them. I get why. You're going to run it fairly long, especially in conditions like this, just in case things change, and make sure that you don't have to come down to the pit lane for the 3rd time. Right, because that's just basically like race ending. You might as well just not bother at that point. Obviously, that's a bit extreme. Hartveld, by the way, is battling for 3rd position. Lars Kisser is having to defend going into Rich's turn 1 on the start-finish straight. So for the battle for the podium is raging as we focus on Brambilla as well, trying to move past Killian Ryan Mean. And is this time they're going to be contact between the two as well? No, there's not. Hartveld, though. Sorry, we've got to go to Hartveld, who's currently in 3rd place, going around the outside of the hairpin, not able to do anything, though. We've seen that move work so many times. Hartveld is charging at the moment.
Yeah, he is a man on a mission right now. Perhaps he's seen the fact that the 2 leaders have pitted already. Yegorov, Rodnikov and Groenewold into the pits, their first of 2. But Hartveld all over the back of that number 66 of Lars Kisser. And the Lamborghini, they're side by side. And that's going to be an excellent exit from the Porsche. He might have enough right now. It's going to have to be a bit of respectful driving from the 2 of them. But you hate to see it. The Lamborghini turned in and... well, yeah, that's going to be an instant for race control and more. Yeah, I don't know about you, Lewis, but I mean that Lamborghini, I feel like he should have potentially given him a little bit more room on that left-hander there, and that is substantial damage to the suspension on that Lamborghini.
I was looking at it from a slightly different angle than just what we saw on the TV cameras, and the TV cam did show it looked a little bit like that, but actually from what I was seeing, I think Kisser did give enough room. There was a slide through the corner. It was a little bit tight, but naturally that's what you get through Hamilton. It was a little bit tight, but as Hartveld was going through the corner, he had a little bit of a snap on the rear, and just as he caught it, just going a little bit right, the front end, obviously in that scenario, goes slightly to the right, and there was contact between the two. A bit of hard racing. It's a shame though for Kisser and for Hartveld, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that we might try and see that one a little bit again. Kisser's into the pit lane regardless anyway. The pit stop sequence well and truly underway. Jack McIntyre will now be running in 5th spot. He has been marching forward. He's now on the back of Babin, who himself has been on a bit of a march. Penalties being dished out. Props with the penalty, 10-second time penalty. There we go. We were wondering if it was going to be coming. We've got our answer, David.
Yeah, that is the world's least surprising development right there from Thibaut Prost. And I've got to be honest, to get a 10-second penalty, that's a difficult one to swallow. However, we could see it completely unravel in the pit stops. He might be able to pull off a genius move here, given that he's still got 2 pit stops to go. In the grand scheme of things, 10 seconds isn't massive. Brambilla getting a 5-second penalty, and I've got a feeling that'll be for that earlier contact that we saw there. Despite him holding off and waiting to see the car going forward, as Jack McIntyre decided to put two wheels on the grass there, and that compromises his exit from the corner, leaving him vulnerable to Ross McGregor. We've got a replay, and yeah, call this one then for us, Lewis.
Let's take a look. Lamborghini to the outside. See, it seems like there's that snap. There is that snap that I was talking about. It was just a little bit from the Porsche on the just leaving the corner. I don't know. For me, it was tight, but I think Kisser did give enough room.
Yeah,
I think it was that snap that did it.
I don't see any inputs that mean that. I don't. Oh, we see a car going straight off. Was that Jean-Luc at 94? That was. I'll tell you in just a second. That was Marcel Fusy. So not only does he get a penalty, he's off into the wilderness as well. Managed to recover and get back on track. But Fusy pretty much having a race to forget. But back to that incident with the fact that, I mean, really neither driver did anything. Again, that's utterly convincing. Neither driver deliberately did anything for that contact. It may be that it's just a racing incident.
I don't know how. It's one of those ones where it's really, really hard, because it's like it feels really harsh to give a penalty for you know, some racing like that, because they were both. It was both hard racing and stuff, but at the same time, that it's really hard. I'd understand if I got a penalty in that scenario if I was Harteveld, but at the same time I would be frustrated. I would be angry about it. Let's take a look. Is this on board with Harteveld? Let's take a look and watch his hands on the left-hand side running through. There's the catch.
Yeah.
I think he overcorrected it a little bit from that angle. Which obviously you'd be like,
brilliant spot, Lewis. I didn't even see that.
It's, I don't know. And that's harsh. It'd be harsh for a penalty, but it's almost like it would be harsh if there's not, because for Kisser, yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll see how that one develops.
It's good job we're not race control, isn't it?
I know, we're sort of sitting on the fence getting splinters right now, but 45 minutes left to go. Can you believe we're already halfway through the race as Igor Ogorodnikov on the back of the 333 of David Martinez in that Aston Martin up the inside, makes it look so easy. The pace is well and truly on for Igor Ogorodnikov. Now, here's the question for us right now. We've seen the field be split in terms of dry and wet tyres. Surely it has to be a case of sticking the wets on now.
Potentially, but then you've got longer stops and stuff, and the tyre changes adding to the pit time and etc. I don't know. It's not an easy call. Regardless, if you're feeling comfortable on the slicks and stuff, maybe you might as well be like, look, we're having a fun race here. I might as well just throw caution to the wind and just give it a go regardless. As Cormac Ryan Meenan defending from Bomb, who's not had the greatest day, must be said. Just looking at the order as the top lot do come into the pit lane. So we've got props into pit lane: Harteveld, McGregor, Gans, Lurs, Brambilla, all in the pit lane. I think Jack McIntyre is going to take the lead of the race because he's already pitted. He's already completed his first of 2 pit stops. That move between Ogorodnikov and Martinez was actually for position because they've both pitted once already. So strategy now is coming to the forefront, and we're seeing people throw different things at this to try and move their way up the order.
Yeah, and that's a blinder from Martinez to see him already so far up, and that really has put him up in contention, because if he's just behind Ogorodnikov there, as we're watching Jacob Baum just behind Cormac Ryan Meenan there in the McLaren, I mean, that is a stellar effort to see that, and this is exactly what it is. It's all about that roll of the dice, as we see Prost into the lead there. So he's done his pit stop, and he's no, there we go. It's the leaderboard's updated now, so he'll filter down the list. I was away to say that's one hell of a strategy to go into the pits and still come out in the lead there.
The fact that McIntyre though is up there in the, because he started 18th. We saw him working his way up the order. We saw him getting up into the top 10, and then as people started pitting, he got up into the top 5. But through that pit stop sequence, obviously he's not taken something that everyone else has taken, and he's moved up into the lead of the race. Petroshenko currently in second position, who hasn't pitted yet. Martinez dropping backwards. He started last, moved up courtesy of taking an early pit stop, but we saw that move as Ogorodnikov got by. Starting last, obviously, not stopped, or has already stopped, but stopped a long time ago in comparison to everyone else. So the pace is sort of starting to drop off of this car. But still, 40 minutes to go. Maybe he's just splitting his strategy a bit more evenly. And to be fair, if he pits fairly soon, maybe for his final time, you might see him towards the front a bit later on in the race. But at the moment, not looking so great.
I think that might be a distinct possibility there. Two things. Did I just see the number 13 McLaren of Cormac Ryan Meenan off sideways? Martinez into the pits for the second pit stop. So this is going to be his final pit stop of the evening. So I mean that's a bold strategy. It's not unknown to make a stint last 40 minutes, but trying something a little bit different. Yeah, he could be one to watch come the tail end of the race. Also, I've noticed that Ogorodnikov has done Thibaut Prost on the undercut through pits.
Yeah, marching his way back forward. Still a fair way to go to catch Jack McIntyre at the front. Hearing that Cormac Ryan Meenan, as you said, was off the road. Ogorodnikov! Oh no, Ogorodnikov has gone at Agostini. Oh no, what has happened? Just as you were saying that he'd moved up past Probst, he's now dropped down into 6th place. Drama for Yiga Ogorodnikov. Not too sure. We'll have to take a look back at that one because that's pretty. That could throw things into the mix. Either way, Cormac Ryan Meenan was off the road. He's now got quite a damaged car as well, for good measure. So not working out for Cormac Ryan Meenan as we pass the halfway point in the race. Still 40 minutes to go. David Martinez, though, who's now come out in 18th position. I'd argue he's just behind us. Actually, might be a bit lower than 18th position as the timing screen updates. He's going very, very well.
Yeah, he is, and I think Ogorodnikov just lost it by himself. Yeah, you can see the tail end fishing out of that car. I've got to be honest, that is an uncharacteristic mistake from Yiga Ogorodnikov, and I guess what I'm more stunned at is, remember, Prost is still in that position, and he had a 10-second penalty as well.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah, of course. No, I completely forgot about that as Gans goes for a little bit of a spin at Hamilton. I completely forgot about that penalty. It's quite an important part of the race. But yeah, Probst. Obviously, he built quite a big gap over that third stint, and when it came out, and that explains why Ogorodnikov was in the position he's in. Doesn't explain how Jack McIntyre's in the position that he's in. But at the moment, Ogorodnikov looked like the driver to close that gap to McIntyre. Obviously, with that spin, not going to work out for him in that sense. Probst doesn't look fast enough at the moment to catch McIntyre. So big questions. Here's a battle for third place, though, whereas Boothby, who's moved up strategically into third position. Groenewold, who started from pole position, having a couple of incidents, dropping back and moving back forwards, now trying to get himself a podium as Tauscher. Oh, it's not been his afternoon, though, has it, David?
We need to get Mikey out, Simply Race, to cue up the theme tune from Skippy on that one, because he was bouncing all the way over the infield. Yeah, look, he's a bigger man than me at this point. I'd be all F4 and throwing things against the wall at this point. But yeah, Tauscher really had a race to forget, and yeah, it's disappointing.
I wonder if I'm trying to recall a time that I've actually alt F4'd from a race.
Really?
I don't think I have. I genuinely.
You've never alt F4'd?
I genuinely don't think I have. I've alt F4'd from various other games, not sim racing. I don't tend to alt F4. I've been close on a few games.
Lewis McGlade is a man that has clearly never been on iRacing before and had to
but I have
repairs.
Oh, but I have. Thankfully, I'm normally these days. I'm the first person if we're doing endurance racing, and I guess this is a proxy alt F4. If something happens in endurance racing, one of my teammates in the car, I'm just like, let's just pull the plug, let's just quit. So I guess by proxy, yes, I have, not directly.
Yeah, it's just as brutal in the long time endurance events that we do here at the sim grid. Of course, we've got two of them coming up this year as well, Lewis, and I've got no doubt that we'll be having you forefront for that. We've got two 24-hour events as part of the World Cup, and several 12-hour events as well. It's going to be an incredible season. Just to remind you of that $20,000 prize pool for the SimGrid World Cup Season 2 coming up. Entries are already being applied for left, right and centre. Have been inundated. And then of course you've got that huge news this week that the SimGrid partnering up with VCO as the title sponsor for that event. It is going to be an incredible event for the World Cup.
Keep your eyes on that one as well. Even as a spectator, I'm very much looking forward to 3rd of April. 12 hours of Bathurst to start the season. 5 rounds across it. 3 12-hour races, 2 24-hour races. Oh, it's going to be a blinder. I think that's going to be. Even if this is anything to go by, which that will take the competitiveness even up another level. We are in for a fantastic 2021 here at the SimGrid, and hopefully, as spectators, you'll be joining us. I'm hoping to be joining you across the year, because if this is anything to go by, we've got some good stuff. Boothby still defending 3rd position in the 666 car. The 52 of Groenewold trying to apply as much pressure and find his way through. You see Harteveld there, the white and black Porsche, darting it through the final corner. Into the pit lane goes Boothby for his final stop, ticking off his final required one. And there we go, Groenewold back up in the 3rd position, but you see Harteveld closing and closing and closing. Martinez, the only driver in the top sort of 25 that has completed both of his pit stop requirements, but he is in traffic here, and he's not marching his way through this traffic, and that's going to be just slowing him down a little bit.
Lewis, my spidey senses are tingling. What again has happened at the lead? Jack McIntyre had a 3.6 second lead over Thibault Prost. It was 0.6 of a second, it's now 0.2 of a second. So something bad has happened for it, and Prost is going to go side by side, and surely this is going to be for the lead.
Oh, McIntyre trying to leave it there, but 2 of them being fairly slow through Hamilton. Nice move though from Prost. I have no idea what's happened to McIntyre. I wonder if we could take a look at his last couple of laps, not as in its fullest entirety, just seeing what times he did, because he's dropped a lot of time. We're hearing that McIntyre's on the tyres that he started the race on, so they're an hour old at the moment, which I kind of expected, because that's obviously how he jumped up into lead. He didn't take new tyres when the likes of Props did, when the likes of Ogoroknikov did, and everyone else. They all took fresh tyres, whereas McIntyre didn't, stuck with the rubber that he started on. May well cost him at the moment, but if he comes in now for his final stop and takes tyres, it may well work out in the long run. But of course, if I'm these drivers, I wouldn't be taking tyres on my final stop if I took them on my first, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having pointed out from YouTube chat, Valerie Suman saying that nothing's happened to Prost. It's just Thibault Prost being Thibault Prost and his incredible pace. So I think he's got his little own fan club there in Valerie Suman. So thank you very much, Valerie, for pointing that one out on the chat there. But yeah, some real fast times going in from Thibault Prost right now to take that lead. And if I was in second place and Jack, I would be jumping into the pits now, getting a fresh set of boots on, and getting that final half hour and getting the most out of them.
All these drivers with their fan bases. I never had a fan base when I was driving.
I just had people that would turn up and laugh at me.
Yeah, no, same, absolutely. Oh, he's angry again. It's literally all it was. Great times. What a time to be alive. Boothby, though, in 16th position. Is that fully updated? I think it is. It is, yeah. 16th place he's come out of the pit lane in a 666 car. So he's the lead driver that has taken both his pit stops. So for Boothby in that Ferrari, things could be looking pretty decent. He's on the back of Bond for 15th place, but I'm not sure he's got the pace to do anything about it. Just ahead of the battle that we were looking at. What a blinder he's put in. Nice work. 16th place. And obviously, as everyone pits, I'm not saying like, oh, wow, he's in 16th. As Bomb takes a little bit of a extra loop on the exit of T1 and an extra bit of track, maybe fancying to tell Snetterton to pave that bit for next year. Once everyone's come into the pit lane, Boothby's going to be cycling out into a really nice position.
He certainly is, but this is the thing, is that what we might see here is this little bit where he's caught behind Jacob Baum right now. This could be having massive consequences for the final roll of the dice right now. So yes, he's on fresh tyres, and I've got no doubt he'll be able to get past Jacob Baum But yeah, this has cost him significantly, and it's not until the next 25 minutes that we're going to see just how much this is going to hamper him.
Well, behind this, we've got Martinez, who was the first driver from this top lot, really, to complete his second stop. And we did say that he caught to the back of drivers and just wasn't able to get by. He's on the back of Petrochenko, he's on the back of Tauscher, he's on the back of Cormac Ryan Meenan, and just hasn't been able to make decisive progress up the order. As, looking to the inside was Boothby there and was thinking about something towards the end of the lap and trying to find his way through into Brundle, and nowhere for him at the moment. The longer you stay behind, the more time you're just going to be cost, obviously. And I'm starting to be curious if maybe picking this early was the right call. It's potentially, it would be the call that I would have gone for. As look at that around the outside of Petrochenko for Martinez. Nearly made it into the final corner. That was brave.
Yeah, that was some big moment of truth moment there for the two of them. But I'm just watching picture in picture as well and seeing that Boothby still struggling to get past that Porsche in front. That Porsche is as wide as it possibly can be right now. And I think he's really going to suffer with this. And there's contact behind. Oh my goodness me, that's Petrochenko and Tauscher again. And Tauscher is going to have to watch because he's already been in trouble. Sorry, excuse me, that was Martinez that was in the contact there with the 26 of Petrochenko. And there you go, Martinez manages to skip away happily, and Petrochenko now just starting to go backwards.
It was Martinez on the back in that Aston Martin. He was the one that made contact with Petrochenko. There was that first bit of contact between Petrochenko and Cormac Ryan Meenan going into it. That was a very messy couple of corners from this group. There is Cormac Ryan Meenan, who dropped a position to Tauscher at T1. That was a little bit messy. Half an hour to go on the clock.
Yeah, a little bit sketchy, just to say very lightly. George Boothby, though, I mean, he is doing everything he possibly can to get past Jacob Baum. Goes to the outside. Jacob Baum cooks the brakes into Brundle just now, but holds on to that position through Nelson as they go on the run down towards the bomb hole. That long, sweeping double right-hander that leads him into Coram. And again, I think this is pretty much nuked any chance for George Boothby to get up into that top 5, purely because of the amount of time that he's been held behind Jacob Baum. And to be fair to Jacob Baum, he is not going at a dawdle, he is not going at a particularly slow pace, but Boothby has got the legs right now. If he can get past him, he will just take off.
It's just not decisive enough with the move, though. With a move at this point in the race, you need to do it, and you need to make it stick. And at the moment for the 666, there's just nothing too clear. There is the decisive move to the inside. Maybe overcooking it was Baum as well, but no, defended beautifully there from Baum, and Boothby absolutely no way through. The longer that the defence is held up from the 71, the 16 of Tauscher as well is going to be closing in bit by bit. Agostini coming up. Is there going to be anywhere for the 666 to go through? Boothby's picking up the outside of Baum. Maybe going on the brakes a little bit on the grass. There's the undercut. That is beautiful. Without the contact, that would have been amazing, but that was all right. It was a nicely timed cutback at least, but Boothby and Baum there making contact on the apex of Agostini, but Boothby crucially is through finally.
I'm pretty sure in these times of social distancing that was a COVID secure handshake as he went past, but Boothby, more importantly, taking that 14th place, and now he can knuckle down and get those times in. Now he can push that, really to the nth degree that those tyres will allow him. 30 minutes left. He's got a lot of work to do, but he's got 13 cars in front of him that need to pit. What a view this is from Felix Rupert's rear wing in the XL Racing Veltan 72. That is Petrochenko just behind him, and Martinez as well. He's been hampered with that early contact with Petrochenko there, as we've got 27 and a half minutes left to go, and you get a feeling that this is almost the second battle that's going on for the midfield right now. This is the battle for the rest of the cars outside of the top 10.
Repair as well, by the way, has picked up a penalty recently. You see the 15-second time penalty. That was for contact between The 72 and the 26. Who's the 72 and the 26? It's Rupert and Petrochenko. So there has been a penalty between these two for contact between these two. Rupert picking up that one. Pretty unfortunate, but that is the way it goes. It was quite a while ago, 12 laps previous in the race, so a fair one, and they've been together ever since. Martinez, though, going around the outside of Petrochenko. I thought he was a little bit too brave on the brakes, and no move made there. Cormac Ryan Meenan seems to be the cork in the bottle, so to say, of this group, and just holding things back, holding things up, nothing happening.
Now, I'm pretty sure we cut there to see a car off in the distance onto the grass. I'm pretty sure that was a Bentley. That might have been Ross McGregor. It certainly looked like the paint scheme off that might be wrong on that. We'll get an ID on that in just a second. But just shows you at this late stage of the race with 25 minutes left to go, this is about concentration. This is about getting into that state of flow that I constantly talk about. That state of flow where, you know, as a driver, you're just churning out the laps and you can't even remember one lap to the other. You don't even remember anything significant happening. You're just constantly in that smooth state where you're able to pump out these laps, and that's what they have to do. But we're seeing quite a few of the drivers between sort of 15th downwards having to fight almost for every inch of the track that they've got right now.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I've been in that sort of state of mind where you're just like effectively almost one with the car. You're so you're almost like you're so focused that you're not focused. If that kind of makes sense, is that Martinez though runs wide, and that might open the door as well for Richter in behind to try and fight his way through in that AMG. But you're just so much of a part of it that you're not, like you say, you're not thinking about lap to lap. You're not thinking about this. You're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about doing the lap. You're thinking about where you are at the moment. Now Petrochenko comes to the pit lane. The issue with that is that sometimes with that kind of stuff, that you almost get complacent. You sort of almost forget a little bit too much, and especially in tricky conditions like this, that's where the mistakes come in. A penalty for the number 71. It is a drive-through penalty though, not a 15-second time penalty, so he can't serve it with a stop. He has to do it separately within the next 3 laps. But the 71 being dished out a drive-through.
Yeah, that'll be Jacob Baum then, and that'll very likely be for track limits. The drive-throughs tend to be given straight out as a result of the platform. However, I'm hearing that this one has been given straight out from race control. So Jacob Baum, a very naughty boy, and getting his hand well and truly slapped by race control. That is huge for the race. Yeah,
it was Cormac Ryan Meenan that was the incident on lap 25. So a little while ago. There it is. So penalty being dished out. That's the harshest one we've seen all day, so it must have been pretty bad. But there is Cormac Ryan Meenan, speaking of the devil, just overdoing it a little bit, trying to get by Rupert, and then Martinez fills the gap and tries to get himself through. But Ryan Meenan doing well to hold it around the outside of Williams onto the Bentley straight. It's going to give him the inside into the Brundle. But for Martinez, I think he's on the very much preferred line, and he's pretty much ahead as well. So dropping back into single file, Martinez makes that one stick. Richter as well, who's a part of this, is looking fairly aggressive. Only 24 minutes left on the clock. This race has flown by, and still even now, I could not even tell you remotely who's going to win this. Probst is in a great spot, but with the pit lane coming into it, wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, it's still far too early, far too close to call. Just a note on the 13 there of Cormac Ryan Meenan. Martinez! How on earth did he just do that? That was straight out the final corner at Murray's there, and he just absolutely bolted past the Rupert there, like Rupert wasn't even standing. Rupert has now lost another place to Cormac Ryan Meenan as well, but the original point I was going to make is that Ryan Meenan has had a disastrous night tonight, and he's really struggled to get to grips with that McLaren. He did.
He qualified badly, but he did move up the race, as did Ryan Meenan as well. So they've both moved up the order. Ryan Meenan, though, going to get past, maybe. They're still going side by side, but no, Rupert is not able to get back through on Ryan Meenan. I think the night that he's had hasn't been so great, but he has moved up the order quite a bit. That is a reminder, a damaged McLaren. We did see him off earlier in the race in the background, picked up a little bit of damage, and obviously that would have been through the incident with Bomb as well. So there's potentially a bit of damage trailing on that McLaren as well as he goes wide, and he's going to drop the position to Rupert just off screen there. Babin, there we go. Cormac Ryan, I mean, that was done by himself, I'm pretty sure. Maybe you have to check that one out. Final pit stops underway for a couple of drivers as well. Whilst we were seeing all of that happen, who was it? The driver in behind darted straight into the pit lane for his final stop as well. So that final stop is very much a thing at the moment.
Yeah, drivers now really have to pull the trigger. It's the final roll of the dice for strategy. I think that might have been Petrochenko in the 26 Lamborghini that you maybe saw going into the pits, but I'm going to keep my eye on Jack McIntyre, the number 37 Audi, who has done his final pit stop, and there we go, Cormac Ryan Meeran. Yeah, that's what we've seen. Just a little bit too greedy on the pace into these corners, and that car is very quick to show its unhappiness at the loss of balance. But Nick Babin having a great end to this race here, up in 6th place in the 707 Porsche for Carbon Esports, currently chasing down I believe that was the Lamborghini that was just in front of him. And yeah, doing a decent job of catching up to that. But Bastian Richter in the Unicorns of Love 58 Mercedes at the moment, he's just come out behind Petrochenko. There's a lot of pace in that in the Mercedes tonight, Lewis, and it does seem to be one of the stronger cars on this circuit.
Yeah, it was Richter who dived into the pit lane that I was saying. He was behind all that battle and just went, yeah, no, I'm gone, and just dived it straight into the pit lane, looking to dive it straight down the inside of Petrochenko, who's defensive, but he's going to run a little bit wide from the apex of the Wilson hairpin, and it doesn't pick it back in. So Richter not able to move his way past in that scenario. Lewis, who we're on board with at the moment, on the back of Killian Raiminen, who's been the driver who's moved up the most places in this race at the moment, 23 his number, and 7.9 seconds off the back of Ross McGregor up the grid. I think he may not be able to hang on to this position, but regardless, even if he drops back one more, if he's inside the top 10, he's done remarkably well. This battle is important, what we're seeing on screen at the moment, though. Jack McIntyre and George Boothby, the two drivers who are highest, who have stopped. So potentially a battle for the race lead, although I do think that Probst is far enough ahead that when he comes in should be very much among this. Has McIntyre not taken tyres again, though? Is he going for the entire race distance on the same set of tyres? That's pretty brave.
It's a bold strategy. I can't see how it would work, and he has just had my ear. He did take tyres on that last one. What I need to check as well is, because I've just looked at YouTube chat there, I can't see the number 518 on track. Has Chris Hartveld disconnected? That's what he's certainly saying on chat, and I can't see him on the timing screen at all.
Yeah, don't see him. That's a shame. He was doing very, very well earlier in the race, but yeah, unfortunately, I think day done on that front. Do not see him.
Yeah, that's him done in P28. So a DNF from Chris Hartveld after a very, very good opening stint, and yeah, that's disappointing to see. But back to the race then. 20 minutes left to go. Can you believe we've already done an hour and 10 minutes? We're well and truly into the business end of this race here. Of course, 90 minutes of Snetterton to celebrate the opening of the British GT DLC pack, one of the 3 tracks that was released. Snetterton, Donington, just 2 of the 3 there. And yeah, what a move that is from Jason Lures in the I'm trying to read that team name, Lewis. Is that a Bentley?
Bentley.
Bay. Yeah, Bay.
Yeah. Better than Boatley, you know, because I've got bored of it.
I like the Boatley. It's my little private yacht.
I've just seen Boatley written so many times, running onto the exit curb there as the 2 Ryan Meanans there on either side of Lewis as the number 13 departs pit lane, going a lap down of Cormac Ryan Meanan. Killian Ryan Meanan, though, the one that Lewis is actually battling with. Those final pit stops being done. Heard that Tauscher, by the way, got a penalty, spun it on the curb. I think that is one that was received in game, not to be mistaken. Speeding in the pit lane. 30-second stop and go, and that is harsh. And a day which, let's be honest, wasn't going well for Tauscher, is not continuing in any way of a positive nature. It's going further downhill somehow.
don't know if it's just me being Scottish or if I'm just not a nice person, but that's the sort of moments that you want to have a little button that you can press. It just goes wah, 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 wah. It's been a horrible race for Teicher. It really is. And again, credit to him, the fact that he's still in, Lewis, and still fighting to try and get a result here. Oh, dearie me. That is, yeah.
Oh, it gets worse and worse and worse. I feel bad. I feel really, really bad. It's just...
Is that live? Or was that a replay?
No, I think that was live. That was live. That was another one.
Oh no!
The thing,
that was a replay.
You have these days, and we've all seen it. I mean, even in real world motorsport, if you can cast your minds back to somewhere like 2008 and the British Grand Prix and Felipe Massa in that race, where it just all went wrong, constant spins, not able to keep control of the car, etc., etc., in some tricky conditions, which obviously we've got some tricky conditions here as well. It's just, for me as a driver, I almost want all of the bad luck to happen in one race so that you kind of get it all done and you get it out of the way and you move on. And hopefully for Telstra, that's how this is it's just all the bad luck in one go. Let's just get it done, get it gone, and then focus on the rest of 2021 and the rest of the racing that we've got here in the sim grid, because it's been pretty disastrous at the moment. Richter there trying to battle with Petrochenko, the two but completing both their stops. Killian Ryan meaning out of the pit lane after completing his final stop. So those final stops coming in, 15 minutes left on the clock, and this order is ready to be chopped and changed even more.
Oh, for sure. It's hijinks is the only word I can use for what we're about to see in the next 15 minutes. I'd be very interested to see if we can get a replay of Jacob Baum on that last lap there, because he had a bit of a moment and caused the yellow flag at the entry to Montreal, as we see side by side Bastian Richter and Petrochenko in the 26. Jura Petrochenko, but that's going to be the move done for Richter. And Petrochenko, I mean, he was looking very, very promising through that first half of the race. Contact, incidents galore really have conspired against him.
Yeah, I think he strategically picked the right tyres at the start and just sort of worked his way up the order a little bit. But even then, he didn't really get as high as maybe we were expecting for Petrochenko. The obvious scenario here is that it's a circuit which a lot of drivers on the grid haven't seen before. I mean, to be fair, I even know people that have never heard of Snetterton. In obviously being British and stuff, we're like, that's crazy. What do you mean you've never heard of Snetterton? But there is, out in Europe, out in America, out in Australia, etc., etc., there's lots of people that have never ever heard of this track. And so the first time you load it up, you sort of like look at the track map and you think, what is that? And then you start driving it and you think, this is bizarre, because a lot of British tracks are in that same vein of it's not a circuit which you see anywhere else in the world. You don't see any circuits like Snetterton, really. It's a very unique venue in that sense, and so to get to grips with it can be quite difficult, and I just don't think that Petrochenko has found his place at the moment here in Norfolk, and will delightfully get on a plane and go anywhere else.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It is a very unique challenge that Snetterton offers, and I think while it's been a difficult night for a lot of the drivers tonight, I think they'll relish having a new track to add to the challenges that the SimGrid offers. Just also having a look there as well, we only have one Godzilla in the field tonight, the 164 of Konstantin Soldatov.
Yeah.
As we've got a replay here. This is going to be the 71, so this is Baum earlier on, and this is going to be the entry to Montreal. Oh, it's the exit from Riches. He goes wide. Oh my goodness me! So lucky, and that car goes rounds and around and around the corner. That's going to be a 6.4, I think, for the pirouette.
That was very, very close. I think it was a car a lap down, though, rather than one he was battling with, but not great. Either way, to follow on to my point, by the way, of unique circuits, I was speaking to Dennis Lind when he raced in British GT last year, and he did a round at Alton Park. He did a round at Donington as well, but he'd raced Donington before, so at least as far as I remember. He did a round at Alton Park. Bearing in mind that he signed to British GT as well this year, to do it for the full season. He said that racing at Alton Park was an interesting experience because it's and I don't mean that in a positive way. He was like, this is a bit mad because it's such a narrow circuit, and the they're so hard to race on a lot of British tracks. Thankfully, Snetterton's wide open and you can get some racing. Obviously, Alton Park now in ACC as well. But yeah, all these international drivers that come along, and that's even in sim racing, they come to these tracks and they're almost like, what are we driving? What is this place? It's a good job we don't have Knock Hill.
Exactly, or even better, Cadwell Park. That would be an amazing offering for this. It'd just be like a single file stream of GT3 cars.
I've never been to Cadwell. I know. I've got some friends who have raced Cadwell. It's a different style of track entirely. I know people that have cycled it, and it's the undulation there is very, very steep. Hearing as well that Bomb's been off, that also Tauscher have been off the road again. Our focus at the moment for the battle for 5th place. Things are closing up. Ogoroknikov as well, closing in on Grunewald. The two we saw battling earlier on in the race, now closing in for what is currently 2nd place. Lars Kisser in 5th at the moment, with Nick Babin closing in. So it is pretty tight.
Yeah, just watching the times coming down from Igor Ogoroknikov. We cut out into him because that gap was down to 7/10 of a second, but into the pits for his final time. The first one out of the top 10 to blink was actually Daniel Brambilla in the number 4 Mercedes, but I wonder if he's going to try and get the undercut done here. The gap to the leader, though, is about 24 seconds from Ogoroknikov to Prost. Thibaut Prost is 20 seconds ahead of Grunwald. He is just on another level of pace right now.
Where everyone else is going to be, I don't know. But Prost, at the moment, his pace is on a different planet. He is just keeping his tyres right in check. There's the number 16 going for a big spin at Riches. Oh, that was fast. It's always a fast. That was another one for Tauscher. He's really ticking him up today, not enjoying the conditions here in Norfolk. Nick Babin, though, in 5th place at the moment. Still trying to get 4th.
10 minutes left to go in this 90 minutes of Snetterton, and what a race we've had so far. And to be honest, I think the entire race has been leading up to this final 10 minutes, because we still don't know anything about what is going to go on in this final 10 minutes. However, what I can't believe is Thibaut Prost, again, remember, had that 10-second penalty. That just compounds how many, how much pace that he has, and into the pits goes Thibaut Prost.
Yeah, Grunewald will be potentially following him in as well. There's another spin for the 71 of Bomb, and that one's out of Oggies, and away he goes. Nice purple wheels, by the way. Got to shout those out. As a little bit of a thing, by the way, Ogoroknikov came out comfortably clear of Jack McIntyre, so plenty of distance between the two of them. So McIntyre's not really a part of the win, as we were maybe wondering with him, taking a bit of an alternate strategy. Ogoroknikov, though, having pitted. Prost coming out of the pit lane, not in the lead of the race. Van der Koekout, who has taken the lead. Obviously with a stop yet to go. At the moment, leads. Kisser as well, who's in 3rd position, is not far. Oh, who was that off the road?
I think that was a backmarker McLaren just now. I'm just watching the battle for 2nd place just now, because I think, there we go, there is your Grunewald just exiting the pit lane ahead of Ogoroknikov, but the gap now down to what's that, about 2.5 seconds. So that's actually gone up for Thibaut Prost there, and a car spinning off in the background. That was a Bentley. Was that Ross McGregor again?
No, it was Muscat.
Muscat. Yeah, we've not even seen him tonight.
No, I think a couple of laps down at the moment is Muscat, down in 30th position as things stand. For Ogoroknikov, though, he's lost time at the moment, but I still think pace-wise he was looking pretty fast, and so I think it will only be a matter of time before he catches up and tries to battle Grunewald for the position they're currently in. Bomb as well, who's right on the back of Grunewald, obviously a lap down at the moment after incidents galore, may well play a part in all of that as well. We're on board with Nick Babin coming through Murray's as we try and find a way past Lars Kisser onto what is provisionally a podium, but with pit stops yet to come for Van der Kook out, for Kisser, for Babin, for McGregor, and Benedetti inside the top 10. Rupert as well also has to come into the pit lane and serve a 15-second time penalty for good measure as well.
Seven minutes left to go in the race then, and this is really it now. This is the final roll of the dice for these drivers. You see Thibaut Prost in the pound seats right now, 4 seconds ahead of Kisser, but of course Kisser, Nick Babin and Ross McGregor still need to pit, so essentially on the track it's going to be Prost, McGregor and Grunwald, but Babin up the inside there. Beautiful move on Kisser. Oh, that was fantastic, textbook driving there from Nick Babin, and he's definitely got that move done as they run down towards Palmer.
Yeah, nice stuff. Well judged from the 707. Lars Kisser's going to try and come back at him, though, coming down into Agostini, but nothing's going to work in that sense. We've got this battle between Fuzi, who's on the back of Raab at the moment. He certainly is. Nothing between two. And this one's for 22nd position. Both having completed their pit stops, looking back up to that podium battle for third place. Babin, I think you can see as he's pulled out, you can see that gap is just being pulled out bit by bit, and I know it's not even been that far, but you can visibly see that Babin is faster at the moment.
Oh, for sure. I think he's potentially going to be trying to look for maybe a 6th or a 7th place there as we see the drivers coming through. What I'm looking at as well is that battle between on the road 2nd place and 3rd place. That's Grunwald and Ogorondikov. That gap now down to just 0.4 of a second, and we've seen Igor Ogorondikov pushing away, and there we go, the move's already done. So Ogorondikov up into 2nd place on the road ahead of Grunwald, and that is quite a gap that he's also got on him.
I think that, so we've got Bomb as well, who's that green Porsche who's a part of this. I wonder if he played a part in that move for Ogorondikov, potentially into something like, I don't think it was into Agostini. I think it was more into somewhere like Hamilton or somewhere like that, slightly after Agostini. We'll have to check that one out and see how Yiga got by. I'm sure the fan base will be there cheering him on, trying to get what looks like it should be a very, very solid 2nd position where he started the race as well, beating the driver who had the pole position at the moment, that blue and yellow Mercedes AMG in behind. Final pit stop still yet to come for Kisser, who is into the pit lane, having served a stop. McGregor, Babin and Van der Kook out. Let's take a look then. Here is Ogorondikov. This is Oggy's. Oh, so he just ran wide at Oggy's. That was it. I thought the move might have been built up a little bit before that. But nope, a mistake from Grunwald into Oggy's, and the move was done. Ogorondikov to 5th on the road at the moment.
Ogorondikov is never going to pass up on an opportunity handed to him on a silver platter, and that's exactly what Grunwald has done there. I think that pretty much seals things at the moment. Obviously 4.5 minutes left to go and anything can happen, but with the way that the race has gone, it's looking very, very secure right now for Thibaut Prost, as we still see Niels van der Kook, Nick Babin and Ross McGregor still to do their final pit stops.
Bit of a slide there from Benedetti, who's been one of the drivers working his way up after some incidents in the early part of the race. He dropped down, moved back forward, and the 343 currently running in 12th place. Yeah, so slide through T1 through Riches. They're still pushing even at this late stage. Not much time left on the clock, so we're expecting those final pit stops to be coming in from Van der Kook, from Babin, from Ross McGregor. Very, very sharp. Les might move up into the top 10, but I'm wondering if Babin and McGregor might come out ahead of this. Must give a shout out as well, though, to Killian Ryan Meenan, who's currently in 10th place. What a drive it has been from him, working his way up the order. Fantastic stuff from Killian Ryan Meenan. That is a brilliant drive.
Yeah, he's really knuckled down, and he's been the fortunate one out of the two of them, because of course we've seen Cormac really struggling in that McLaren, but that Aston looking so planted and so solid as we see it coming through Brundle and then into Nelson. He really, really has had a brilliant race, and again, credit to the car behind him as well, the 88 of Jason Lures as well. I believe he was about 18th or 19th on qualifying, and brings himself that's surely going to be on the outskirts of maybe 12th or 13th place once all the pit stops are out of the way. So great result there. Yeah, it's been an awesome race. In fact, I was looking at the wrong place on the timing screen. Lures could very well end up in the top 10 once we see McGregor and Babin and Van der Kokel into pits. Niels van der Kokel, it's going to be a case of what could have been for him, because again, we know he's got the pace to be up with the front runners. It's just not been his race today.
Oh, this battle's not done yet. Did you see that Groeneveld is closing back in on Ogorognikov? That battle seemingly not sorted as of this moment. Rupert's into the pit lane to serve his final stop, and a 15-second time penalty, as I said, for good measure as well. Really not long left on the clock, so it has to be this time. Van der Kokel, Babin and McGregor must come in this time to serve their final stop, and then we'll see where this order is going to play off. Jack McIntyre on the tyres that he changed on the previous stop, because he went the first stop he didn't change tyres, so he changed in his second stop, so he's on fresh rubber in comparison to everyone else. He has set the fastest lap of the race, so what we're expecting to be this battle between Ogorognikov and Groeneveld, it seems like McIntyre may have something to say about that in the number 37. Van der Kokel pits, Babin pits, and Ross McGregor also pits. Prost leading the way at the moment and looking for a pretty healthy victory.
He certainly is. Just on a completely different note, one man that I feel very sorry right now is Marcel Fouzy in the 94. Gets a 15-second penalty and has had the mother of all moments on the exit of Riches, possibly gone smashing into the barrier there. Was simply yellow flag and stopped there for some time, and yeah, it's definitely been a race to forget for him. But Jack McIntyre has done Nick Babin, and just looking at Niels van der Kokel. Hang on, Niels van der Kokel was in the leads, obviously, because he had that last pit stop to do. He was in P12. He's on course for taking second.
Yeah, some great strategy there from the 47. Brilliant time on the final pistol. We saw some good pace out of him, so I think he's just been flying under the radar where he hadn't stopped and whilst he was out front. So fantastic stuff from him. Currently running in that second place, ahead of Ogorognikov, ahead of Groeneveld, ahead of McIntyre, who's jumped Boothby, who's jumped Babin as well. Babin dropped down into 7th position in all of that. Ross McGregor in 8th. So the top 10 is being thrown up into the mix, and that battle for the podium with it. Prost coming through the final corner of Coram though, and towards the final one of Murray's, and what a drive it's been. Didn't start from pole position and had all of the work to do, but the number 99 through strategy, even with a time penalty, took the lead, ran away with it, and Thibaut Prost takes the first win here at Snetterton. What a drive at the 90 minutes. That was brilliant stuff from him. It was absolutely dominant at the end of it from this man, Van der Kokel, who looks to be set for a pretty surprising second position, all things considered. Out of the final corner, he's going to hang on from Ogorognikov. Groeneveld, though, is going to be side by side with McIntyre as we head towards the line. McIntyre might be able to do it. It's going to be so very tight. It looks to be heading the way of Groeneveld, though. Off the line, McIntyre's close, but not enough. 0.007 between the two of them. It cannot get much closer than that.
I don't know about you, Lewis, but I've had more exciting races to commentate on, you know. It's that was incredible. What a 90 minutes of Snetterton we've had here. Thibaut Prost. I mean, I cannot believe that. Killian Ryan Mainen in the 23 Aston has gained 23 or 24 places from the back of the pack, 34th or 33rd position to 10th. That is a stunning. That might not be a race victory, but my goodness, that will feel like one for him.
Same for Martinez, who moved up into 12th place after starting from last, using strategy to move his way up the order. Wondered where he'd end up. The 333 car heads to 12th. A day to forget for Petrochenko, who's going to come across the line in 17th place. Gans in behind. A couple of finishers still to come through as we see the last ones crossing the line. As you said, a day of what could have been for some, a day of elation for others. And I am going to do it. Do you know what? I am going to do it. Who's your driver of the day?
Oh,
You got to throw it out there every now and then.
Obviously Thibaut Prost had a brilliant performance. However, to take second place and out of absolutely seeming nowhere, Niels van de Kerk, you heard me talking about him just before his final pit stop. I was writing him off. I thought he was going to be lucky to be in the top 10. Never in my lifetime did I think he was going to get second place. So he's a strong contender. Jack McIntyre with the pace he put in, but I think for me, driver of the day, Niels van de Kerk.
There's a few drivers on the grid that have put across some incredible drives this evening. Said Prost with his dominance, Van der Kerk with that's real surprise, just flying under the radar up into second position. McIntyre with his late race pace, and then you look at the likes of Kilian Raiminen and Martinez, who moved up the order. For me, Kilian Raiminen did such a good job. Like I say, it wouldn't be a win. It's not a win. But that drive up the order, it's almost nearest makes no difference. Fantastic drive. And I'm pretty sure we are going to see more crazy action from these drivers around the brand new circuits in ACC as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. A very welcome introduction to Snetterton into the SimGrid Hall of Fame. That was one to live out for the ages to come by, and really looking forward to seeing future events at, say, Donington. Of course, we've got Super Saturday coming up next weekend, next Saturday. That is going to be an incredible event. We've got Lamborghinis, we've got the Ginettas, we've got the Porsche Cup, and then a 2.4 hour endurance race as well. That is going to be a fantastic event. Definitely get yourself signed up to that one when you can. And yours truly is going to be into the Porsche Cup. I am going to be embarrassing myself live on stream, and very much looking forward to it.
Well, whilst we're here, we'll try and grab ourselves a couple of interviews to see what's been going on. And I think none more so than if we can go and get Thibaut Prost into the room. Give me a second and we'll drag him in and grab what his opinion was of the race. A dominant drive from Prost. It didn't start out that way. It was quite an interesting one, a bit of a time penalty in there, but dominant in the end. How was that drive for you?
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed the race. Was a bit upset with the quali because it was so the gap was 1/10 for 6th place, and you had to do the perfect lap to get the pole position. So I was a bit upset with starting a bit more in back, but at the end it was. I knew I had to wait a lot to be patient. I saw at the beginning of the race that I had a good pace and I would be able maybe to catch up. And then I just wait, and I saw I had the pace. So once again, sorry for Grunwald with the contact we had together. But otherwise, really fun race. Thank you everybody for the event, and thanks everybody for driving as well.
What was a dominant display at the end? You were a master of your tyres and a master of the circuit indeed. Got to be asked if you had much experience at Snetterton prior to today's racing?
No, not really actually. I maybe did one race with another car, on a TCRR, on another simulator, and just one race. So today was a bit discovering for me. I trained a bit in the afternoon, of course. I haven't done 5 laps and then I came, So I'm happy that the work paid off, and I think it's always paying off, And it was first time as well for me in the Mercedes to do a race, so that was a lot of things to discover.
Well, it was a truly brilliant drive. Thank you very much for showing it to us on such a competitive field, and hopefully we'll see you more as the year progresses.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward for the next races with you guys. And just wanted to say thank you to all of you and to my team GTWR for the support. And I'm thinking about Giorgio Simonini a lot. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
No worries. Thank you to Thibaut Prost, and I'm sure we'll see some more dominant displays in our near future. Let's try and grab ourselves Niels van der Kerk out and see how his race progressed, because flew under the radar an awful lot towards the end of that race, and yet somehow the pit stop came out in second. What a fantastic drive. How was that for you?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, that was amazing, man. Oh my god, it was, I have to say, that was a lot of fun. Like, really a lot of fun. Like, throughout the entire 90 minutes, I was, well, I wasn't literally on the edge of my seat, because I'm sat firmly in my bucket seat, but, man, it was crazy. And, you know, I kind of had a feeling that after I think I was in P6 after like 25 minutes. I was like, okay, we might have a good result there if the strategy is on point. And turns out I managed it so perfectly. Like, it was really close with Jaeger as well at the end. But yeah, I'm super happy to come out of the pits in P2. I was screaming. I was almost jumping out of my chair. So that was how happy I was.
We were sat in the commentary booth waiting for the start of the race with this rain coming down, thinking, what is going on? What call would we make? At the start of the race, did you think you made the right call? Did you ever figure it out if you made the right call? Do you think there even was a right call?
Yeah, definitely. I'm lucky enough that I had a league race yesterday, which basically had the same conditions. It was just light rain and a damp track. And through some strategy work, I stayed out on dries, which actually helped me gain a lot of positions. But it was, you know, it was very much clear to me that with these conditions, the wets are now very much viable with the new update. So I just knew what to do when I saw the rain. Just start out on wets. Somehow I managed my pressures to be absolutely on point the entire race. And, you know, they did get kind of sketchy at the end of the stints. Because of the little bit of overheating. They still overheated a little bit, but I think pre-patch they would have just been red hot and it would have been impossible. But yeah, I'm very happy with the call to start out on wets, and it worked out wonderfully.
Wow, brilliant stuff. Excellent strategy, and maybe next time Prost will be within the clutching distance for you to jump him on pit stop as well.
yeah, I just need to make sure that I qualify a little bit better, because there was a lot of time in there still, but I just keep messing up my qualifying every time, so I need to work on that, and then maybe if I start a little bit more towards the front, I'll be able to fight for the win again.
Well, second place is still good. Thank you very much. Let's have a little chat as well with George Boothby, who's ready to join us and see what his opinion was. Flew, again, much in the same way as Niels van der Kogel, a little bit under the radar, did George Boothby. Ended up being the only driver in a Ferrari in the top 25, which is pretty mad. How was your racing out there in a very, very wet and tricky Snetterton?
That track was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, I think a lot of us had never driven a lap in the wet before, so at the start it was a bit hectic, and by lap 2 I think I was like last. So I just went for the strategy of just, you know, I was miles behind, so I did an early pit stop and then just managed to keep pace. And I figure if the race was like another 10 minutes, maybe I could have had a battle for second potentially, but I loved it. I absolutely loved that race. What a track.
So clear confidence in pace then. Liking the wet conditions. You say you're not really racing them too much. Obviously a brand new track for us here in ACC. You enjoying the wet conditions with some of the updates?
Yeah, they've improved it so when it's damp, your tyres don't absolutely fall off a cliff anymore, so it's a lot more drivable. They still obviously eventually fall off, but I feel like now, like, the smoother you drive really does affect how much they wear. So yeah, that race I just focused on just being as smooth as I can, and my tires just never dropped off, like, from start to finish. So I was contemplating just not changing tires at one point, but in the end I caved in.
Do you think the Ferrari was the good choice around here? Because you were one of the only ones in it. There was a large disparity in cars. AMG looked pretty good. Ferrari looked pretty comfortable, though, for you.
Yeah, in the dry, I really struggled, whether it be setup or just pace, or I don't know, but I could not hang with the top times in the dry. And the qualifying was so close, though. But yeah, I think I qualified it in like 16th, 17th, maybe. But yeah, in the wet, it just zoomed. So.
Well, a brilliant drive to get into 6th place at the end of it. Thank you for showing us that, and hopefully we see you around soon in some more potentially wet conditions.
Thank you so much, pal. Cheers.
No worries. Well, back to David then. What a round of entertaining racing!
Welcome to the sim grid, my friend. This is exactly the sort of racing that we see week in, week out here at the sim grids. And for those watching out there that saw this tonight and think, I want to get a little bit of piece of that, head over to thesimgrid.com, get yourself involved in the many championships that we've got going on, as well as the daily racing that we're doing as well, the beta of daily racing several times during the day. We do GT3 and GT4 races at a variety of tracks, and yeah, what a night, and what a welcome to Snetterton as well. And as I said, out of all the races, I don't think we could have picked a better one, Lewis, to get you coming on board with the sim grid on.
Absolutely. What a fantastic one. We've got plenty more coming up, though, in the sim grid. GT4's at Alton Park next time, using more of those brand new British tracks. Before it's Super Saturday that week, a week on Saturday, coincidentally enough, and plenty more afterwards. Of course, the racing we've seen here, I would suspect we're going to see more of that type of quality. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed regardless. I'd like to thank everyone for joining. I saw some of the viewing figures being quite nice this time, so obviously we had our own fans, David.
Yeah, I'm quite liking that. I'm quite liking that. And obviously, as well as that, we've got to say a huge thank you to our commercial partners, Coach Dave Academy, providing us with awesome, professionally developed esports setups, and of course Thrustmaster as well, the premium choice in sim racing hardware. And we've got to say a big thank you to you Lewis, for coming on board. It's a bit of a fanboy moment going on right now, I'll be honest, but yeah, it's an awesome privilege to be joining you in the commentary box tonight, and here's looking forward to many more awesome events here at SimGrid.
2021 looks like it's going to be a fantastic year then, if that is anything to go by. If you want to watch more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on any form of social media that you possibly can. And of course, get yourself onto the grid as well. I've been Lewis McGlade. Alongside me has been David Christie for the night. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Until then, though, bye-bye.